Chapter 1370. Roar. A deep roar came from behind. The skeletal lizard was very fast. It had strong and thick hind legs, so when it ran, its speed was astonishing. Lin Feng ran all the way. He wanted to take out a magic treasure to attack the skeletal lizard, but in the end, he failed. In this world, he couldn't use magic power, and even his divine sense couldn't be used. Lin Feng was now a powerful cultivator. He had become an ordinary person. What kind of damned world is this? Lin Feng couldn't help but curse in a low voice. He increased his speed. But now Lin Feng was tired and hungry, so he couldn't increase his speed. The skeletal lizard was gradually closing the distance between it and Lin Feng. Lin Feng saw a low mountain in front of him that was 300 to 400 meters high. He quickly ran up, lifted a huge rock on the mountain, and threw it at the skeletal lizard that was chasing after him. Bang! The rock hit the skeletal lizard's body hard. But the skeletal lizard's body was too strong, so it didn't cause much damage to it. Instead, it angered the skeletal lizard. The skeletal lizard's thick limbs suddenly kicked the ground, and its huge body jumped up. It directly jumped to the top of the mountain. You jump up, I'll jump down. Lin Feng hastily jumped down from the top of the mountain and flew away. He ran for an entire night. When the sky gradually brightened, the skeletal lizard let out an unwilling roar and finally drilled into the ground and disappeared. The skeletal lizard didn't seem to like to appear during the day. Seeing the skeletal lizard leave, Lin Feng was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. He felt as if the strength in his body had been completely sucked out. He directly fell to the ground and lay on his back, panting violently. Tired. Lin Feng had never felt so tired. This world's suppression of magic power is too strong. I need to find a way to use magic power. Without magic power, it's difficult to move. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. He tried to circulate the Archean Dragonesque elephant art, but unfortunately, in this world, even the Archean Dragonesque elephant art was not effective. This made Lin Feng quite depressed. Let's go find some food and water first. Lin Feng was now thirsty and hungry. His entire body was weak, and he needed food and water to replenish his strength. He got up and walked towards the forest. But what made Lin Feng very disappointed was that he couldn't find any water source, nor could he find any food to satisfy his hunger. He didn't even have any wild fruits. The vegetation that grew in the mountain forest were all man-eating flowers, poisonous camphor trees, and so on. He needed to be careful, otherwise it was very likely that he would be poisoned or be attacked by man-eating flowers. Lin Feng also didn't find any traces of wild beasts. He couldn't even hunt a wild beast for food. How can there be no birds or beasts in such a large forest? How strange. Lin Feng said speechlessly. He guessed that the birds and beasts might have been frightened by the skeletal lizard yesterday and fled the area. Or perhaps, birds and beasts were extremely rare in this world. Most of the beasts that appeared in the forest were poisonous and vicious by nature. Lin Feng was more inclined to the latter conjecture. He walked for a long time, but he still didn't find any food or water. Lin Feng was extremely exhausted and was lying down on a rock to rest. At noon, a group of people carrying bamboo baskets came out. They weren't very old. The older ones looked to be about 17 or 18 years old, while the younger ones looked to be about 11 or 12 years old. They carefully observed their surroundings, as if they were looking for something. Brother, I found a piece of fire-veined stone. A boy who looked to be about 11 or 12 years old found a stone in a pile of rocks. The stone was dark brown, but there were some fiery red spots on it. The fiery red was a very low grade, or that could be refined into fire-vein iron. Of course, to refine enough fire-vein iron to forge a weapon, one would need to pile up a mountain of fire-vein stones. A 17 or 18-year-old boy ran over. He seemed to be very excited. He praised his younger brother a few times, and then put the fire-vein stone in the bamboo basket. Sister, I also found a piece of fire-vein stone. A 13 or 14-year-old boy shouted in surprise. He also found a fist-sized fire-vein stone in a pile of rocks. The boy quickly ran over to a 16 or 17-year-old girl. The boy was very handsome, but because of long-term malnutrition, his body was thin. The boy's sister looked more delicate. She looked 60 to 70% like the boy. Her face was pure and lovely. Xiaoxin, good job. The girl lovingly rubbed her brother's head. The girl's name was Song Ying-er. She was 17 years old. The boy's name was Song Xiaoxin. He was 13 years old. The siblings were villagers in a nearby mountain village. At night, they would hide in a cave with the other villagers. During the day, they would come out to look for fire vein stones. This was because fire vein stones could be exchanged for food. Although most of the time, the fire vein stones they found might not be enough to exchange for a piece of taro, this was the only way for them to survive. It was difficult to survive in this world. Most of the boys and girls who came out to look for fire vein stones were orphans. If they wanted to survive, they could only rely on themselves. Being able to survive was the wish of many people. As for being full, many people did not even dare to dream of it. This group of people continued to look for fire vein stones in the forest. Brother, I'm hungry. A 12 or 13-year-old boy looked at his elder brother. In fact, his elder brother was not very old. He was only 14 or 15 years old. The elder brother carefully took out a fist-sized piece of taro, broke off a small piece, and handed it to his younger brother. The younger brother wolfed it down. The elder brother swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He could not bear to eat it, so he put the rest of the taro in his arms. In this world, food was life. Unless they were very hungry, they would not be willing to eat it. Xiaoxin, you're hungry too, right? You should have a bite too. Ying-er also took out a piece of taro wrapped in coarse cloth from her arms. The taro was already dry. She broke off a small piece and handed it to her younger brother. Sister, I'm not hungry at all. You should eat it. Xiaoxin was very sensible. He also felt sorry for his sister. He knew that his sister had not eaten for 2 days, so he tried to persuade her. Sister is not hungry. You should eat it quickly. Ying-er said with a smile. Xiaoxin took the piece of taro in his hand. It was a piece that could be eaten in one bite. So he broke it in half and handed half to his sister. He said, Sister, let's split it in half. Although Ying-er was also very hungry, she wanted her younger brother to eat all of it. She did everything she could to take good care of her younger brother. Sister is not hungry. You should eat it quickly. Ying-er said, If sister doesn't eat it, I won't eat it either. Xiaoxin said. Although he was very young, he was very sensible. This made Ying-er feel very gratified. She took the piece of taro that Xiaoxin handed to her and ate it. Xiaoxin smiled and wolfed down the small piece of taro. For hours later, they had traveled more than 5 kilometers, but they had only found a dozen pieces of fire-patterned ore. It was not even enough to exchange for a piece of taro. The siblings could not help but sigh. There were very few fire-patterned ores in this forest, but they did not dare to go further to search. This forest was relatively safe because there were only occasional lunar beasts roaming about. However, if they left this forest, they would easily encounter lunar beasts that came out to hunt for food. If that happened, they would die miserably. The sky gradually darkened. The siblings were about to return with the rest of the group. At this moment, Xiaoxin pointed at a rock in the distance and said, Sister, do you see a person lying on that rock? Chapter 1371. Ying-er looked over and vaguely saw a person lying motionless on the rock. She did not know if he was dead or alive. Why is there a person here? Ying-er was puzzled. Why don't we go and take a look? Xiaoxin suggested. Ying-er was a kind girl. She nodded and walked towards the rock with her brother. When the others saw the siblings walking away, they asked what had happened. Xiaoxin pointed at the rock in the distance. Everyone looked over and saw a person. They were also very curious and followed him. The group arrived at the rock. Xiaoxin said, Sister, I'll go and see if he's still alive. Ying-er nodded and said, Be careful. Sister, don't worry. Everything will be fine. Xiaoxin gave Ying-er a reassuring smile before he climbed up the rock. Not long after, Xiaoxin reached the top of the rock and reached under Lin Feng's nose. He wanted to see if Lin Feng was still breathing. At that moment, Lin Feng suddenly reached out and grabbed Xiaoxin's hand. Xiaoxin jumped in fright and struggled, but to no avail. Lin Feng sat up and let go of Xiaoxin. When he saw Xiaoxin and the people below, he was both surprised and happy. It was great that there were people living here. This damned world suppressed his magic power, and he could not use his divine sense. He could not find food or water, and this made Lin Feng extremely depressed. The only good news was that he had finally seen a living person. "You're still alive. That's great." Xiao Shen sighed in relief. However, Lin Feng could not understand what they were saying. They were speaking a different language. The Tianwu continent's language was different from this world's. When he saw that Lin Feng did not answer him, Xiao Shen asked curiously, "Can't you speak?" Lin Feng nodded. He really didn't understand the language of this world. Xiao Shen looked down at his sister and shouted, "Sister, this person doesn't seem to know how to speak. It's dangerous up there. Hurry up and come down." Ying shouted worriedly, "Let's go down together, okay?" Xiao Shan gestured to Lin Feng to climb down. He was the first to climb down. Then Lin Feng also climbed down. Ying looked at Lin Feng and found that Lin Feng was very handsome. It was really hard to find such a handsome man here. Perhaps in the future, when Xiao Shen grows up, he will also be this handsome? Seeing Lin Feng's dry lips and red eyes, Ying naturally knew that this was caused by lack of water and hunger. Lack of water and hunger could even cause bleeding from the eyes, mouth, ears, and nose. Ying bit her lips and took out a taro and a water sack from her bosom. "Sister Ying, are you crazy? If you give it to him, how will you and Xiao Shen survive?" A youth said, "That's right, Sister Ying, you have to survive too. You can't go without food." People continued to persuade her. Food was life. This world's need for food surpassed everything else. In the Tianwu continent, Lin Feng could go without food for half a month without a problem because he could absorb the energy of heaven and earth to replenish his body. But here, he couldn't. He couldn't even use his magic power here, let alone absorb energy to replenish his body. Here, he had become an ordinary person. He would starve like an ordinary person, and he would be injured like an ordinary person. Perhaps the only difference was that Lin Feng's body was much stronger than an ordinary person's. He was able to compete with a terrifying creature like the skeletal lizard. "Let him eat first. We still have other ways," Ying said. She hesitated for a moment and looked at her younger brother, Xiao Shan. But if she gave the food to Lin Feng, Xiao Shan would definitely suffer again. "Sister, I'm fine. Let this big brother eat it quickly," Xiao Shan said. Ying was happy that Xiao Shan was sensible and kind, but she also felt helpless about his tragic fate. However, Ying had a strong and kind personality. Even though life was difficult, she still tried her best to remain optimistic. Ying handed the taro and water bag to Lin Feng. Even though he didn't understand the language of this world, Lin Feng knew that food and water were precious. In this world, the forests were filled with poisonous man-eating flowers and poisonous trees. It was difficult to see other plants, and it was difficult to find wild beasts in the forests. However, one could see many lunar beasts hunting for food. Thus, food and water were too precious. He looked gratefully at Ying and took half of the taro and water bag. There was very little water in the water bag. Lin Feng drank a mouthful and coughed violently. The water was bitter and astringent, and it tasted very strange. However, his body was too dehydrated. Even though it tasted so bad, Lin Feng drank it like it was a nectar. Then, he wolfed down the dry taro. This kind of food was usually fed to pigs in the Tianwu continent. Basically, no one ate it. But in this world, it was a life-saving food. Many people looked at Lin Feng enviously. Seeing him wolfing down the food, they couldn't help but swallow their saliva, including Ying and Xiao Shen. They were really too hungry. The lack of food for a long time made their bodies look very weak. "Big brother, it's getting dark. Lunar beasts will appear. If you stay here, you will be eaten by them. Come back with us." Xiao Shen gestured as he spoke. Lin Feng could understand Xiao Shan's gestures. His learning ability was very strong. Through Xiao Shan's gestures and language, he was able to deduce the meaning behind them. At the same time, he was also learning the language of this world. Lin Feng followed the group back to the village. This village was located in a valley. There were about 1,000 people in the village, but Lin Feng didn't find any old people. Perhaps it was very difficult for people to live for long in this world. This was an extremely poor village. Lin Feng's arrival didn't cause a big commotion in this village, because every day there would be villages like this that were destroyed by lunar beasts or giant skeleton lizards. Of course, there would also be some lucky people who managed to escape. In many people's eyes, Lin Feng might be one of those people. The villagers lived in caves. The villagers dug a huge cave that led to the inside of the mountain. Inside the cave, they dug out a few small caves. This was the village's home. Ying-er and Xiaoshun's home was about 6 or 7 square meters. There were some fire pattern stones piled up here. These fire pattern stones were used to exchange for food. There was also a jar made of unknown vines and a broken porcelain jar. Other than these, there seemed to be nothing else to be found. The night was very cold and very scary, because every night could be the last night of their lives. Xiaoshun asked Lin Feng to sit between him and his sister. They curled up in a corner of the cave. This way, it would be easier to keep warm. Then, they used the only blanket to cover their bodies. "Brother, your body is so warm," Xiaoshun said. Ying-er also seemed to feel that Lin Feng's body was very warm. She couldn't help but lean closer to him. Roar. In the latter half of the night, a deep roar was heard. This was the sound of the giant skeleton lizard. At night, the giant skeleton lizard came out to look for food. Ying-er and Xiaoshun were both awakened. Their whole bodies were trembling, and their expressions were full of fear and helplessness. The giant skeleton lizard finally left. But not long after, outside the village, a demon snake that was nearly 100 meters long crawled out. The demon snake stuck out its tongue and looked coldly in the direction of the valley. Chapter 1372. It was a demon snake with 3 eyes. It was a terrifying demon snake that moved in the dark. Even the skeletal lizard did not want to make an enemy out of it. Fearsome beasts roamed everywhere. This was the banished world. It was a terrifying and cold night. Fearsome beasts loved to eat humans. There was a reason why they loved to eat humans. Other ferocious beasts usually had hard scales and thick hides. Moreover, they were strong. After a tough battle, whether they could kill their opponents was another matter. Even if they could kill their opponents, they would have to find a way to break their opponent's scales and hides. Many beasts were too lazy to break their opponent's scales and hides. They would just eat the corpses. Naturally, they would not taste good. As for humans, they were weak. They did not have scales or hides. Their skin was soft and tender, and their flesh tasted great. Therefore, many beasts, such as lunar beasts, skeletal lizards, demon snakes, and many others, loved to hunt humans for food. The demon snake that had just appeared was the same. It loved to hunt humans. Now, the demon snake sensed the aura of humans in the depths of the valley. The demon snake stuck out its forked tongue. Its huge body swayed on the ground. Soon, it entered the valley. Its cold eyes could not help but look at a huge cave in the valley. The demon snake rushed into the cave. Shrill screams could be heard. "Something is coming in," Xiaoshun exclaimed with a face full of terror. Ying-er's body trembled violently. 3 years ago, their parents had been eaten by a lunar beast that rushed into a cave like this. At that time, the villagers had chased the lunar beast away in time. The siblings had been lucky enough to escape. "It's the demon snake." Soon, terrified screams could be heard. The demon snake was terrifying. It rushed into the cave and swallowed the villagers who were hiding in it. However, no one could fight against the demon snake. Ordinary lunar beasts were much weaker than the demon snake. Moreover, ordinary people would not be able to fight against ordinary lunar beasts, let alone a terrifying existence like the demon snake. Suddenly, a cold aura filled the air, and a huge snake head appeared outside the cave. "Sister, the demon snake?" Xiaoshun shouted in fear. Ying-er was so scared that her face turned pale, and her entire body trembled. Roar. The demon snake opened its bloody mouth and was about to swallow Lin Feng, Ying-er, and Xiaoshun. The situation was extremely dangerous. Lin Feng jumped in front of the snake's head and threw a punch at its jaw. Bang! Lin Feng's powerful punch landed on the demon snake's jaw. The demon snake's head slammed into the cave wall. The demon snake let out a painful hiss. Then, its head slammed towards Lin Feng. The cave was narrow, and the snake's head was too big. Lin Feng dodged the snake's attack and jumped onto its head. He punched the snake's third eye. Lin Feng punched the snake's third eye. Bang! Lin's punch. The demon snake's head. Clang! Lin Feng's body slammed into the cave wall. The huge impact made Lin Feng feel as if his internal organs were burning. However, the demon snake did not continue to attack Lin Feng. This place was too narrow. The demon snake already had a trace of intelligence. It knew that it would be at a disadvantage if it fought with this human in front of it. The demon snake glared at Lin Feng viciously. Then, its huge body shrank back. "Big brother, are you okay?" Xiao Shun got up and ran to Lin Feng's side. Even now, he still could not believe that he had survived. That was a demon snake that was even more powerful than a lunar beast. It had actually been defeated by the big brother he had picked up outside. Ying was also shocked. She quickly got up and ran to Lin Feng with Xiao Shun. She looked at Lin Feng with concern. Lin Feng shook his head, indicating that he was fine. At the same time, he felt depressed. If he had magic power, he would have been able to kill the demon snake easily. But now, his magic power was suppressed, and he could not use any divine abilities. He could only use his physical body to fight these beasts. It was not an easy task to kill these thick-skinned, ferocious beasts. What a pity. It would be good if I had a weapon. Unfortunately, this world has cut off the connection between me and my storage ring. I can't take out any treasures from my storage ring. Lin Feng sighed. The cave was filled with the sound of crying. The appearance of the demon snake had caused the village to lose more than 40 people. The village chief came to Lin Feng. Because Lin Feng had defeated the demon snake, they were very grateful to Lin Feng. If it had not been for Lin Feng, the entire village of more than 1,000 people would have become the demon snake's food. Lin Feng indicated that they did not need to be so polite. After that, no one felt sleepy anymore. Perhaps it was because they had seen too much death. When dawn arrived, the sorrowful atmosphere faded away. No matter how difficult life was, it had to go on. Perhaps they were grateful to Lin Feng for defeating the demon snake. In the morning, Lin Feng was called to eat with the village's hunter team. The hunter team was an important force supporting the survival of the village. It was also the guarantee of the village's survival. They would set traps to kill some small beasts. But it was very difficult to catch small beasts because in the banished world, beasts were extremely rare. It would take a long time to catch one. If they could catch one, the village would not be willing to eat it. Instead, they would use the beast's fur and meat to exchange for food in the town. In fact, every family would be given a portion of food at the beginning of the month, but the food given was pitifully little. After all, there were more than 1,000 people. It was too difficult to feed the village, and the rest of the food could only be self-sufficient. This was also the reason why Ying, Xiao Shan, and the others went to look for fire stones. The food given to the village could not last for a month. Even half a month was difficult. If they did not go out to look for fire stones to exchange for taro, they would eventually starve to death. The food these hunters ate was very simple. It was a kind of cornbread made from coarse grains and taro. Each hunter was given 2 cornbread and a bowl of vegetable soup with a few vegetable leaves floating in the air. But even such a diet was envied by others. Lin Feng was given 4 cornbread. The chief specially ordered someone to cut a piece of meat and then stewed a meat soup for Lin Feng with wild vegetables. This was a treatment that other hunters did not receive. The smell of the meat soup filled the air. Many people gathered around and looked at the meat soup in their bowls, swallowing their saliva. To them, meat soup was perhaps the most delicious food in the world. But they only had the opportunity to drink meat soup once a year at the end of the year. If they were lucky, they might even be able to eat a piece of meat. Lin Feng looked at the 4 bowls of bread and the meat soup in front of him. He was lost in thought. He looked at the villagers in the distance who were looking at their bowls of meat soup. Lin Feng's heart felt heavy. Back in the Tianwu continent, ordinary people wouldn't even spare a glance for food like that. But here, it was the most delicious food. Chapter 1373. Lin Feng waved at the sister and brother not far from him. Ying and Xiao Shun walked over to Lin Feng. He looked at the village chief and gestured for him to bring 2 more bowls over. The village chief brought 2 bowls over. Lin Feng divided the broth into 3 portions, one for each of the siblings and 1 cornbread. Big brother, the village chief gave this to you to nourish your body. We can't eat it. Although Xiao Shun was already swallowing his saliva, he didn't take the broth Lin Feng gave him. Lin Feng smiled and pointed at his own bowl. Then, he grabbed Xiao Shun's hand and placed the bowl in Xiao Shun's hand. Then, he gave Xiao Shun a cornbread. Xiao Shun's tears immediately fell. Ever since his parents had died, he and his sister had depended on each other. No one had ever treated him so well. Lin Feng patted Xiao Shun's head and handed the other bowl of broth to Inger. Then, he gave Inger a cornbread as well. Thank you, big brother. Inger smiled sweetly. Many people looked at Inger and Xiao Shun enviously. Lin Feng sighed inwardly. This was all he could do for now. Other people couldn't do anything even if they wanted to. After breakfast, Lin Feng lay on a rock to rest. Although the ferocious beasts of this world, including the skeletal lizard and the demon snake, had strong physical bodies, they were not as strong as a god fiend's. Lin Feng's physical body could kill god fiends a long time ago. However, he had just descended from the shattered world of the void to this world. His body would more or less be injured. Now that he couldn't use his magic power, it was difficult for him to circulate his immortal divine body, and he didn't have any spirit medicine to heal his injuries. Lin Feng could only wait for his body to slowly heal. Fortunately, his injuries weren't too serious. The real reason why Lin Feng couldn't increase his combat power was because of the lack of food. The higher the cultivation, the greater the need for food. In the past, Lin Feng had always eaten spirit fruits of heaven and earth to supplement his body's needs. The nutrients contained in a heaven and earth spirit fruit that was tens of thousands of years old, or even tens of thousands of years old, was naturally incomparable to ordinary food. But now, not to mention spiritual fruits of heaven and earth, even having a full stomach was a luxury. He was injured. The body could not replenish itself with nutrients. No matter how strong his physical body was, if he was in a weakened state, his combat strength would also drop. It's just like how we can carry 200 kilograms of things when we're full. If we starve for 3 days, not to mention 200 pounds, I reckon we won't even be able to move 50 pounds. Lin Feng's body was severely lacking in nutrients, so it was difficult for him to display the strength of his physical body. He was now considering whether or not he should hunt the demonic snake. If he could kill the demonic snake, the snake's gallbladder and blood would be a great supplement. Even if he couldn't recover to his peak state, it wouldn't be a problem for him to recover to 60 to 70%. Lin Feng's physical body could kill god fiends. Even if he recovered to 50%, it would be easy for him to kill ferocious beasts like the skeleton lizard, let alone 60 to 70%. Currently, Lin Feng only had about 10% of his combat strength. The demonic snake is not simple. It lacks a suitable weapon. Lin Feng frowned. At noon, the village chief personally came to find Lin Feng. The hunter team was going to hunt in the dense forest 50 kilometers away. He hoped that Lin Feng could join them. After Lin Feng defeated the demonic snake, the villagers treated Lin Feng like a god of war. Many people looked at Lin Feng with admiration. Lin Feng gladly agreed. The forest 50 kilometers around the village was filled with man-eating flowers and poisonous miasma trees. There were no wild beasts at all. Lin Feng could follow the hunter team to scout the area. It would be even better if he could kill some ferocious beasts. Ferocious beasts were different from ordinary wild beasts. Their blood and meat contained energy that could help Lin Feng recover quickly. Seeing that Lin Feng had agreed, the villagers were very happy. Lin Feng asked the village chief to take care of Inger and Xiao Shun. The village chief was a shrewd person. He knew what to do. The entire village came to see the hunter team off. There were about 100 hunters in the team this time. Everyone was holding a spear in their hands. The spears were made of a kind of hardwood. In this world, iron was very rare. The village didn't have the money to buy a spear made of iron, not even a simple spearhead. After entering the forest where wild beasts roamed, the group didn't encounter any wild beasts for 3 days. Wild beasts were rare in this world. However, they encountered many lunar beasts. Lunar beasts were highly poisonous and inedible. Moreover, they came in groups. Therefore, everyone found a place to hide from them. After 3 days without any harvest, the food and water they brought was very little. Now, the food and water were almost used up. Everyone had no choice but to return. Roar. Suddenly, a roar came from the forest. A 3-meter-long, 2-meter-tall, two-headed blood wolf appeared. It was one of the most ferocious beasts in the forest. It was even more powerful than the ordinary lunar beasts. The two-headed blood wolf had already gained a trace of intelligence. It was a ferocious beast with terrifying strength. The hunter team could only hunt some small wild beasts. It was a disaster to encounter these ferocious beasts. Immediately, 4 or 5 villagers were bitten to death by the two-headed blood wolf. It's over. The leader of the hunter team was called Zhang Danian. He was about 40 years old and had rich hunting experience. When he saw the two-headed blood wolf, his face turned pale. He knew how terrifying the two-headed blood wolf was. Such a two-headed blood wolf could easily destroy a village. Moreover, the two-headed blood wolf was extremely cunning. It would kill everyone before it began to feast on its prey. Therefore, when encountering such a two-headed blood wolf, there was no chance to escape. When the rest of the people saw the two-headed blood wolf, they were so scared that their legs went soft. Many people even sat on the ground. This world was too cruel. Especially for ordinary people like them, it was even more cruel. They had no cultivation, no sharp weapons, no food, no water, and no medicine. Moreover, they had to face the threat of the ferocious beasts. It was too difficult to survive. Roar. The double-headed blood wolf let out a low growl. It leaped out and pounced toward the crowd. Many people were looking at the two-headed blood wolf with a look of horror and despair. At that moment, everybody could see that Lin Feng was holding his long spear while facing the two-headed blood wolf. He held the spear in one hand and directly stabbed the two-headed blood wolf. It's useless. The spear can't pierce the two-headed blood wolf's hide. Many people shook their heads. They thought that Lin Feng would be bitten to death by the two-headed blood wolf. The two-headed blood wolf was also looking at Lin Feng with disdain. The two-headed blood wolf was even thinking about how to play with this human, who dared to take the initiative to attack it. But at this time, the two-headed blood wolf's pupils suddenly widened. Its pupils revealed a look of horror. The human who had been moving slowly suddenly sped up. Holding the spear, the whole movement was done in one breath. The speed was so fast that it was difficult for the two-headed blood wolf to dodge. Puff. The spear directly pierced through the left eye of the two-headed blood wolf into its skull. The two-headed blood wolf let out a shrill scream. It had 2 heads. If one head died, it would not die. The two-headed blood wolf was fierce and wanted to fight back. But Lin Feng did not give the two-headed blood wolf a chance. He rushed forward and punched the neck of the two-headed blood wolf under the right head. With a cracking sound, the powerful punch broke the neck bone of the two-headed blood wolf. There was a rumbling sound. The huge two-headed blood wolf's body fell to the ground. It died. Chapter 1374. The two-headed blood wolf is dead? That little brother who can't speak actually killed the two-headed blood wolf. Oh my God! How can that little brother be so powerful? Even a beast like the two-headed blood wolf could be killed so easily. Many people cried out in surprise. At this moment, they were looking at Lin Feng, who was standing beside the two-headed blood wolf as if they were looking at a god. At this time, Zhang Danian finally came back to his senses and ran to Lin Feng's side, extremely excited. I didn't think that little brother would be so powerful. He's really a god. Zhang Danian looked at Lin Feng in awe. Lin Feng said, I learned some martial arts, so I was able to kill the two-headed blood wolf. During this time, Lin Feng had been secretly learning the language of this world, so he could already communicate with them. Little brother, you can speak? Zhang Danian was obviously surprised. He had always thought that Lin Feng was mute. Lin Feng nodded. So martial arts are really so powerful. At this time, someone sighed. These people had also heard that people who practiced martial arts could easily kill vicious beasts. At first, they didn't believe it, but after seeing Lin Feng kill the two-headed blood wolf, they believed it without a doubt. Lin Feng said, bury the bodies of the dead villagers, then leave this place and find a place to skin the two-headed blood wolf. Leave the fur and roast the meat. Zhang Danian said, "Little brother, such a big two-headed blood wolf. Do you want to carry it back to the village and skin it? If you peel it in the wilderness, the smell of blood will spread and it will easily attract lunar beasts. If you roast the whole beast over a fire, the smell of blood will quickly disappear and it will be very difficult to attract lunar beasts. Not to mention, it's daytime now and lunar beasts usually come out at night. There's no need to worry about lunar beasts now," Lin Feng said. After a pause, Lin Feng said, "I know that the meat of vicious beasts is very valuable and can be exchanged for a lot of food. I understand what you're thinking." Zhang Danian was worried that Lin Feng would be angry, so he quickly said, "The two-headed blood wolf was killed by little brother. We'll listen to little brother on how to deal with it." Lin Feng said, "Everyone has only eaten a few mouthfuls of dry food these past few days, so they're already starving. Let's roast the two-headed blood wolf and let everyone eat a big meal. The wolf's skin should be exchanged for a lot of food. After we eat and drink, we'll continue to look for other vicious beasts. If we kill a few more beasts, we'll be able to exchange them for food." Zhang Danian's eyes suddenly. Zhang Danian had seen how strong Lin Feng was before, so he didn't doubt Lin Feng's words. "All right, I'll give the order," Zhang Danian said. Some people collected the corpses of the dead villagers, while others carried the huge carcass of the two-headed blood wolf. Everyone quickly left and came to a valley. A dozen villagers buried the dead, while Zhang Danian brought a few others to dissect the carcass of the two-headed blood wolf. Soon, a bonfire was burning. The two-headed blood wolf's huge body was cut into pieces and then roasted over the bonfire. The fragrance of meat filled the air. Nearly 100 people stared at the delicious food roasting over the bonfire without blinking. Usually, they could only drink meat soup once a year. When had they ever eaten roasted meat? They hadn't eaten yet, but they could smell the roasted meat. Many people's eyes were wide open, and they couldn't take their eyes off the roasted meat. When the roasted meat was almost done, Lin Feng said, "Everyone, don't just stare. Let's eat." Lin Feng took the lead and took a roasted leg, then he wolfed it down. When the others saw Lin Feng start eating, they looked at Zhang Danian eagerly. Zhang Danian scolded with a smile, "A bunch of foodies. Have you never eaten before?" None of them had eaten roasted meat before. Even Zhang Danian was swallowing his saliva. Zhang Danian took a piece of the wolf's body and used the only dagger in the hunting team to cut up the roasted two-headed blood wolf meat. Zhang Danian didn't touch the other 3 legs. They were the best meat, so he left them for Lin Feng. The villagers started wolfing down the food. Woo-woo. Some people even cried while eating. To them, eating meat was a luxury. They didn't even dare to dream of being able to eat as much as they wanted. But now, it had become a reality. To be able to eat meat like this, even if I die, it's worth it. Many people had satisfied expressions on their faces. Lin Feng's table manners weren't much better than Zhang Danian and the others. He needed meat too much. Eating meat could recover his stamina, especially eating the meat of vicious beasts. This was because the meat of vicious beasts contained pure energy. This energy was also helpful in recovering stamina. Lin Feng had eaten 4 of the wolf's legs and half of the wolf's body. The others were dumbstruck and looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng really had a big appetite. But even after eating so much, Lin Feng was only 10% full. In fact, Zhang Danian and the others didn't eat much. The two-headed blood wolf was a vicious beast, so its meat contained an amazing amount of energy. Zhang Danian and the others weren't cultivators, so they couldn't eat much. If they ate too much, their bodies might explode from the energy in the wolf's meat. So when they were full, the amount of meat they ate was less than half of Lin Feng's. Lin Feng left a part of the meat as rations. He planned to stay in the forest for a while. After eating and drinking, everyone found a place to rest. After eating more than half of the two-headed blood wolf's meat, Lin Feng's body was also recovering. When he woke up, Lin Feng's face was full of joy. He found that his body had recovered about 20% of its peak. Eating meat to recover. Sure enough, it was extremely effective. After staying in the forest for about 10 days, Lin Feng hunted a demonic black leopard and a dragon-tailed tiger. After eating the demonic black leopard and dragon-tailed tiger's meat, Lin Feng's body recovered about 30% of its peak. Screech. A sharp screech resounded through the world. A giant eagle with a wingspan of more than 30 meters appeared. Black-feathered eagle. That's the overlord of the sky. Its strength is much stronger than the two-headed blood wolf, demonic black leopard, and dragon-tailed tiger. I once saw it kill a dragon-tailed tiger with one claw. Seeing the black-feathered eagle, Zhang Danian's voice trembled slightly. Obviously, the black-feathered eagle's ferocious power left an indelible fear in Zhang Danian's heart. Lin Feng nodded. His gaze was fixed on the black-feathered eagle as it flew into the distance. He rubbed his chin and couldn't help but think, I can't fly right now. If I can fly and kill this black-feathered eagle and eat its meat, my body will probably recover about 50% of its peak. Suddenly, a sharp and ear-piercing cry resounded from afar. The black-feathered hawk struggled violently in midair, and in the end, it seemed to have lost control of its body and fell towards a mountain range. What is that place? Why did the black-feathered eagle fall down? Lin Feng was shocked. Zhang Danian said, that place is very scary. It's said that no matter what kind of beast enters that mountain range, they will all die. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. According to Zhang Danian's words, there must be some secret in the mountain range. There must be some unknown secret hidden in that mountain range. Otherwise, such a strange thing would not have happened. Lin Feng's expression changed, but his reaction was fast enough. When the attack swept over, he moved to the left in advance. The cold light brushed past Lin Feng's body and swept into the distance. Finally, it smashed into a tree in the distance. It's that valley. Lin Feng frowned and looked deeper into the valley. He became more cautious as he walked towards the valley. The closer he got to the valley, the colder he felt. A suffocating killing intent was emitted from the valley. What exactly is releasing this killing intent? Lin Feng was puzzled. He felt that the killing intent had formed a huge magnetic field. The death of the black-feathered eagle from before was very likely due to being enveloped by the magnetic field formed by this killing intent, resulting in its tragic death. However, there was one thing that Lin Feng did not understand. Where did the black-feathered eagle's flesh and blood go? What had devoured it? Buzz. Suddenly, a powerful fluctuation swept out from the valley. Lin Feng could clearly feel it. The killing intent magnetic field enveloping the forest was constantly expanding. The killing intent magnetic field was obviously trying to envelop Lin Feng. He could feel the terrifying killing intent magnetic field. Lin Feng could not help but sneer. He directly condensed the white tiger killing intent. This was one of the three forces that Lin Feng had comprehended. Condensing the force. It did not require the use of magic power. Force was an invisible force. However, it existed in the unseen world. After successfully condensing the white tiger killing intent, Lin Feng found that the killing intent magnetic field formed in the valley was blocked by the white tiger killing intent. Lin Feng walked towards the valley step by step. At the moment when Lin Feng entered the valley, he suddenly had the feeling that the world was spinning. He disappeared from the valley. Then, he came to another world. This world. It was a sea of killing intent. Lin Feng floated above the sea of killing intent. An endless amount of deadly energy was moving towards Lin Feng. Rays of killing intent condensed into a substantial light beam. It shattered the world. The overwhelming killing intent seemed to be able to kill even gods and demons. Anyone who saw this scene would feel their scalp go numb. Lin Feng sneered and said, "You want to disturb my will? What wishful thinking. My Dao heart is eternal. Who can shake it?" Lin Feng's will did not waver because he was trapped in the boundless illusion. Instead, it became even more resolute. Boom! The next moment, the killing intent ocean disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng returned to reality. He stood at the entrance of the valley. Without hesitation, without stopping, Lin Feng stepped into the valley. The white tiger killing intent protected his body, blocking the terrifying killing intent in the valley. Lin Feng walked step by step to the depths of the valley. That is, suddenly, Lin Feng's pupil shrank slightly. He saw a skeleton in golden clothes lying in the depths of the valley. The killing intent seemed to be emitted from the skeleton. It's been dead for so many years, yet it can still emit such a terrifying killing intent. Isn't this a little too unbelievable? Lin Feng's face was filled with shock and astonishment. He quickly walked forward and turned the skeleton over, hoping to find a storage ring or some kind of treasure. However, Lin Feng was shocked when he saw a rusty dagger on the left side of the skeleton's chest when it was turned over. Is this the killing intent emitted by this rusty dagger, and not this skeleton? Lin Feng exclaimed. He had always thought that the killing intent was emitted by the skeleton. Now, it seemed that his previous speculation was completely wrong. Could it be that this person's heart was pierced by this dagger back then? He fled to this place and died in the end? Lin Feng couldn't help but think. He then looked at the rusty dagger. The dagger was too extraordinary. It was able to condense a killing intent magnetic field. It was definitely a heaven-defying treasure. Lin Feng grabbed the dagger and pulled it out. He held the dagger in his hand and casually slashed at a huge rock beside him. Slash. The rusty dagger actually cut the rock in half as if it was tofu. Chapter 1376. This dagger is really powerful. Although it's rusty, it's still so sharp. I wonder what material it's made of. Lin Feng looked at the dagger and couldn't bear to put it down. He didn't have any weapons on hand, and this dagger could be used as a weapon. The storage ring is also here. Lin Feng saw the storage ring on the skeleton's finger and took it off. Since he couldn't use his divine sense, it was naturally difficult to see what treasures were in the storage ring. Lin Feng temporarily put the storage ring in his pocket. Then, he found a pile of stones and built a simple grave for the skeleton. He buried the skeleton in it. As the saying goes, the dead can rest in peace. Senior, rest in peace here. Lin Feng then left. He left the valley and headed in the direction of the village. That night, Lin Feng jumped onto a branch of a big tree to rest. However, he was discovered by a dozen or so winged flesh-eating rats. These winged flesh-eating rats were about 3 meters long. Their bodies were bloated, and they had sharp teeth. Moreover, they had a pair of huge wings. These vicious beasts were even more terrifying than lunar beasts. Lunar beasts were only poisonous. On the other hand, winged flesh-eating rats were not only poisonous, but also germs that could easily cause a plague. Once a plague broke out, it would definitely be a disaster. Who knew how many people would die from the disease? The dozen or so winged flesh-eating rats attacked Lin Feng. Swish! Lin Feng took out the dagger and used it to dodge the attacks of the winged flesh-eating rats while slashing at them. At this time, Lin Feng's advantage in speed was displayed. If it was an ordinary person, it would be very difficult to dodge the attacks of a dozen winged flesh-eating rats. However, Lin Feng's extreme speed allowed him to dodge the attacks of the dual-winged flesh-eating rat again and again, avoiding the sharp claws and teeth of the dual-winged flesh-eating rat. Lin Feng seized the opportunity and used the dagger to tear apart the body of the two-winged flesh-eating rat. To Lin Feng's shock, when the dagger tore apart the body of the two-winged flesh-eating rat, the blood of the two-winged flesh-eating rat was quickly devoured by the dagger. In the blink of an eye, the two-winged flesh-eating rat turned into a dried corpse. Vampiric dagger. Lin Feng was shocked. This dagger was really powerful. Moreover, it was quite strange. Lin Feng killed 7 of the dozen double-winged flesh-eating rats, and the rest fled without a trace. The dagger only absorbed the blood of the first two-winged flesh-eating rat. The dagger didn't absorb the blood of the other rats. This dagger gave Lin Feng a very strange feeling, as if it had its own spirituality. The reason why it didn't absorb the blood of the two-winged flesh-eating rats was because it was too weak. It seemed to be because the blood of the two-winged flesh-eating rats didn't meet the qualifications to be absorbed by the dagger. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. He didn't know why such a seemingly absurd thought would appear in his mind. Lin Feng suddenly thought of the black-feathered eagle's flesh being sucked dry. Could it be that it was also done by this dagger? If that was the case, this dagger was too powerful. Not only could it suck blood, it could also devour the meat of the fierce beasts that contained energy. The two-winged flesh-eating rats had viruses in their bodies, and their meat was also highly toxic. There was no way to eat them. Lin Feng directly ignited the corpses of the two-winged flesh-eating rats to prevent the virus from spreading and causing a plague. A day later, Lin Feng returned to the village. Seeing that Lin Feng had returned, everyone came out to welcome him. The villagers already knew from Zhang Danian and the others how powerful Lin Feng was, and how he could easily hunt those powerful fierce beasts. Now, when everyone saw Lin Feng, they all had a look of reverence in their eyes. "Little brother, you just came back. You must be hungry. I've already prepared lunch," the village chief said. Lin Feng really did feel a little hungry, so he entered the village with the village chief and the others. Today, the village had cooked meat soup. This was the meat of the dragon-tailed tiger, and there was still a small half left. Zhang Danian and the others had brought it back. Lin Feng told Zhang Danian not to sell it outside and to leave it for the villagers to eat. When they smelled the meat soup, many people had already started to salivate. The village chief specially instructed his wife to stew a pot of tiger meat for Lin Feng. He heard from Zhang Danian that Lin Feng's appetite was extremely shocking. He was afraid that it wouldn't be enough, so he said, "Little brother, you eat. I'll let my wife stew it." Lin Feng smiled and waved his hand, saying, "There's no need to stew it. This is enough." He called Ying, and Xiaoshen over to eat with him. Many young boys and girls looked at Ying, and Xiaoshen enviously. They looked at the large pot of tiger meat and swallowed their saliva. Although they had also drunk the meat soup, it was still very difficult for them to eat the meat. "Village chief, give half of the tiger meat to the children," Lin Feng said. "How can we do that?" The village chief said. "It's fine. Let them eat to their heart's content," Lin Feng said. The village chief nodded and placed half of the tiger meat in another pot. He asked his wife and a few other women to cut it and distribute it to the children in the village. "Thank you, Big Brother. Long live Big Brother." Many children shouted excitedly when they saw that there was meat to eat. They were all extremely excited. "Hurry up and eat. It won't taste good if it gets cold," Lin Feng said with a smile. The group of children nodded heavily. They held the meat as if they were holding ginseng fruits. They were extremely careful and ate in small bites. Everyone's faces were filled with happiness. To be able to eat a meal of meat, that would make them feel happy. Sometimes, happiness was so simple. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. After lunch, Lin Feng sat on a rock to rest. The warm sunlight shone down. He squinted his eyes slightly and adjusted his state of mind. Lin Feng planned to go to the river demon snake's nest and kill it. The gallbladder of an ordinary snake was a great supplement, not to mention the powerful demon snake. If he could eat the gallbladder of the demon snake and drink its blood, Lin Feng's body would definitely recover quickly. Xiaoshen looked at Lin Feng in admiration. He turned to Ying and said, "Sister, I want to be as powerful as Big Brother in the future. I want to be able to kill vicious beasts and let everyone eat meat." Inger said, "In the future, you can ask Big Brother to teach you martial arts." Xiao Shun's eyes suddenly lit up, and he said, "If Big Brother is willing to teach me, I will definitely become very powerful." After pausing for a moment, Xiao Shun said, "Sister, why don't you marry Big Brother? If you marry Big Brother will be my brother-in-law. When the time comes, Big Brother will definitely be willing to teach me." Ing's pretty face immediately turned pink. She stammered for a long time before running away as if she was running away. 12:30. Lin Feng stood up and rushed towards the river 30 miles away. The river was a very dangerous place because there were often many vicious beasts that gathered to drink water, such as beasts and even giant skeleton lizards. Moreover, there were many vicious beasts that were hibernating in the river. The demon snake lived in the depths of the river. It was said that there were vicious beasts even more terrifying than the demon snake in the river. Therefore, the villagers did not dare to go to the river. As for the drinking water of the villagers, it was usually the water that escaped from deep pits. Because of this, the water was somewhat turbid, and the taste was bitter and astringent. But even so, the villagers still regarded this murky water as more important than their own lives. Water was the source of life. No one could live without water. Even cultivators could not live without water. They needed to drink water to supplement their body's various needs. After a quarter of an hour, Lin Feng arrived at the river. The river was about 100 meters wide and very deep. He could see many beasts drinking water around the river. The beasts also noticed Lin Feng, an uninvited guest. Many of them let out low and ferocious roars. Then, one by one, the beasts surrounded Linfeng. Chapter 1377. The lunar beasts were ferocious. Their attacks were fierce, and their bodies were poisonous. Therefore, one had to be careful when dealing with them. The main reason was to be worried about being poisoned. This world was lacking in resources. Once one was poisoned, there was no antidote. When that happened, one would die. A total of 20 beasts surrounded Linfeng. Those beasts looked ferocious and bloodthirsty. They were all moving towards Linfeng. Facing the attacks of the lunar beasts, Linfeng dodged. The dagger in his hand danced around like a butterfly. Puff, puff, puff. Next, the sound of flesh being torn apart could be heard. Although these lunar beasts were covered in scales and had amazing defensive abilities, they could not withstand the attack of the dagger. This dagger could cut through iron like mud. It was a rare treasure. The sound beasts let out painful and shrill cries one after another. Then, their bodies fell to the ground with a loud thud, and their breathing ceased. In a short while, the 20 lunar beasts were all killed by Linfeng. Phew! After killing these lunar beasts, Linfeng let out a long breath. He took out the dried meat that he had prepared and ate it to recover his energy. After a short rest, Linfeng threw the corpses into the river. Not long after, the river water churned and a huge creature appeared. It was the demon snake that was almost 100 meters long. The demon snake's body emitted a cold and terrifying aura. When it opened and closed its eyes, a blood-red light flashed. After the demon snake appeared, it opened its bloody mouth and swallowed the lunar beasts. In a few breaths' time, the demon snake had devoured all the lunar beasts' corpses. Then, the demon snake looked at Linfeng. This ferocious beast had already developed some intelligence. It could vaguely sense a dangerous aura coming from the humans on the shore that made it very uncomfortable, so the snake demon did not act rashly. But soon, the demon snake let out an angry hissing sound. The demon snake recognized Linfeng. Wasn't this the human who had injured it not long ago? Every time it thought of the injury, the demon snake was furious. If it were not for the narrow space restricting its movements, how could it have been injured? Originally, the demon snake wanted to find an opportunity to visit the mountain village again. It had to eat the human who had injured it. Demon snake didn't expect that it hadn't even gone to look for that detestable human. That human had actually taken the initiative to send himself to death. This made the snake demon very happy. The huge body of the demon snake slithered over and finally reached the shore. Its 3 cold eyes stared at Linfeng, revealing a cold and murderous intent. This demonic snake is smarter than I thought. It must have recognized me. Linfeng's heart skipped a beat when he saw the venomous look in its eyes. Whoosh! Suddenly, the demon snake moved. Its 100-meter-long body charged toward Linfeng like a bolt of lightning. The demonic snake opened its bloody maw. It wanted to devour Linfeng. Linfeng did not retreat. Instead, he moved forward. He held the dagger in one hand and thrust it toward the snake's neck. Whoosh! However, at that moment, the demon snake suddenly spat out a cloud of poisonous fog. This demonic snake was extremely cunning. Even Linfeng had been deceived by it. Linfeng originally thought that the demon snake was going to bite him, but it turned out that it was just a feint. He quickly moved to the left. If he was hit by the poisonous fog, he would be in trouble. While Linfeng was dodging the poisonous fog, the demon snake's huge tail whipped toward Linfeng. Bang! The heavy blow landed on Linfeng's body. Linfeng felt as if he had been hit by a moving mountain. His body was sent flying. There was a loud thump. Linfeng fell into the forest. He felt as if his internal organs were burning. This demon snake's body is so strong. It's close to the body of a divine demon. Linfeng was very surprised. Just as he got up from the ground, the demon snake pounced on him again. It opened its bloody mouth and spat out a cloud of poisonous fog to attack Linfeng. When Linfeng dodged, the thick and powerful tail whipped toward Linfeng. This time, Linfeng was prepared. When the demon snake's huge tail whipped toward him, he grabbed onto it. He grabbed the demon snake's tail with both hands and lifted it up. Then, he smashed it into the trees in the surrounding forest. Bang, bang, bang. Many of the trees were directly broken. The demon snake was hit until it was dizzy. Lin Feng took advantage of this good opportunity to pierce the demon snake's scales with his dagger. Then, he slashed the demon snake's body. There was a ripping sound. Lin Feng's dagger left a 1-meter-long wound on the demon snake's body. Blood immediately flowed out. Screech! The demon snake let out a sharp cry of pain. It opened its bloody mouth and spat out poisonous fog toward Lin Feng again. Lin Feng quickly dodged the poisonous fog spat out by the demon snake. He jumped onto the demon snake's back. Holding the dagger in his right hand, he stabbed the demon snake's back fiercely. Puff! The dagger directly pierced through the demon snake's scales. Lin Feng pulled with all his strength. There was a ripping sound. Another 1-meter-long wound appeared on the demon snake's back. Lin Feng grabbed the demon snake's wound. With this sudden force, a large piece of the snake's flesh was torn off by him. He could even see the demon snake's spine. The demon snake let out an ear-piercing cry of pain. Its huge body swung and sent Lin Feng flying. Swoosh! At the same time, a blood-red light shot out from the demon snake's third eye. The third eye was the demon snake's natal dharma eye. The natal dharma eye could activate natal magic. That blood-red light was the demon snake's natal magic. Feeling the shocking power contained in the blood-red light, Lin Feng was shocked. He quickly dashed to the left and dodged the blood-red light by a hair's breadth. The blood-red light flew into the distance and instantly shattered a 3-kilometer-tall mountain. Its power was terrifying. The attack missed. The demon snake's attack did not stop. One after another, the blood-red light shot toward Lin Feng. Seeing the dense blood-red light, Lin Feng's mouth twitched violently. If he had magic power, he could easily break through these blood-red light. But now, Lin Feng's magic power was suppressed by this world's laws and he could not use it. His body could only use 30% of his peak strength. Therefore, it was quite strenuous for him to face the demon snake's dense blood-red attacks. He quickly dodged, but his body was still pierced by 3 blood-red light. Bang! Lin Feng fell to the ground. He just got up from the ground. At this time, the demon snake had already rushed over. It opened its bloody mouth, revealing its dense fangs. The demon snake bit at Lin Feng, wanting to swallow Lin Feng in one bite. Chapter 1378. The situation could be said to be extremely dangerous as the ferocious mouth swallowed them. However, facing the snake demon's attack, Lin Feng was not scared. Instead, he was happy. Just as the snake demon was about to swallow him whole, Lin Feng rolled to the left. Bang! The demonic snake's attack hit nothing but air. Lin Feng leaped onto the snake demon's head. The dagger in his hand was aimed at the snake demon's third eye. The third eye was too powerful. If he did not destroy it, Lin Feng knew that he would definitely lose this battle. He would definitely die in the snake demon's hands. A moment before, Lin Feng's body had been pierced by the third eye of the snake. Lin Feng had no choice but to be extremely careful. The dagger in his hand was emitting a cold light. Poochie! The dagger pierced the snake demon's third eye. In an instant, the snake demon suffered a great deal of damage. The dagger was extremely strange. It could absorb the blood and essence of beasts. When the dagger pierced the snake demon's third eye, it began to crazily devour the snake demon's blood. Screech! The snake demon let out a painful roar. Its third eye was blinded by the dagger. The snake demon's blood was being devoured in large amounts. This made the snake demon go completely crazy. It struggled violently. Its huge head swung violently, trying to throw Lin Feng away. Lin Feng's left hand was tightly holding onto a piece of the snake demon's scale. His right hand was holding onto the sharp dagger. He stabbed the snake demon's head again and again. Poochie! 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 Lin Feng's dagger pierced through the snake's gigantic head, leaving behind many bloody holes. The snake demon roared in pain. It could not shake off Lin Feng. Under Lin Feng's attacks, it was heavily injured. The snake demon's cold eyes looked at a 3,000-meter-tall mountain in the distance. It slithered over and slammed its huge head into the mountain. With a loud bang, Lin Feng's body slammed into the mountain. The mountain was unable to withstand the impact and collapsed, burying Lin Feng and the demonic snake. The demon snake's gigantic body sent the surrounding rocks flying. It opened its bloody mouth and swallowed Lin Feng, who was not far away under the rubble. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. With a shake of his body, the stones on his body shot out in all directions. Rubble pierced through the air. He leaped up and dodged the demon snake's bloody mouth. Once again, he jumped onto the demon snake's head and stabbed at its left eye. Puff. The demon snake's left eye was also blinded by Lin Feng. Shriek. The demon snake let out a painful roar. Two of its eyes had been blinded. This was an unbearable injury for the demon snake. Hoo. The demon snake opened its bloody mouth and spat out a large amount of poisonous fog. The poisonous fog spread out, covering an area of tens of meters. Lin Feng's expression suddenly changed. If he stood on the demon snake's head, he would definitely be enveloped by the poisonous fog. He would definitely be poisoned. Lin Feng did not dare to stay. He quickly moved tens of meters away, avoiding the area covered by the poisonous fog. The poisonous fog completely enveloped the demon snake's gigantic body. The demon snake continued to let out low and painful cries. The poisonous fog covered the demon snake's body, but one could still vaguely see a sinister green eye through the fog. The demon snake hid in the poisonous fog and stared at Lin Feng with resentment. Whoosh! In the end, the demon snake chose to escape. It rushed toward the river. This demon snake was very smart. It knew that it was heavily injured and did not dare to continue fighting with Lin Feng. It wanted to escape and recuperate to recover from its injuries. Then, it would look for an opportunity to take revenge. You can't escape. Today, I will kill you. Lin Feng gritted his teeth and quickly chased after the demon snake. The 7 bloody holes in his body caused by the demon snake's blood-red eyes had already begun to heal. Even though he could not use his immortal divine body to quickly recover from his injuries, he was still injured. After all, Lin Feng's body was the immortal divine body. Therefore, its self-recovery ability was still very strong. After the demon snake rushed into the river, Lin Feng also jumped in after it. At this moment, the demon snake was heavily injured. This was a great opportunity to kill it. If he missed this opportunity, it would not be easy to find another opportunity to kill it. This river was more than 100 meters wide, but it had formed an underground river. The width of the underground river suddenly increased. It was about 2,000 to 3,000 meters wide, and it was extremely deep. The water flow was also incomparably fast. Lin Feng chased the demon snake all the way down. Suddenly, he saw that the underground river had formed a huge abyss. The abyss was pitch black, and the demon snake had drilled into it. Lin Feng also entered the abyss. He was currently in a cave inside the abyss. There was a simple restriction outside the cave that separated it from the water flow outside. An underwater cave. Lin Feng was shocked. This great array should have been set up by a cultivator. There were cultivators in this world? It was not impossible to cultivate? Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He entered the great array. As soon as he entered the great array, the demon snake had already pounced. Lin Feng moved to the left and dodged the demon snake's attack. Now that 2 of the demon snake's 3 eyes had been blinded, its combat strength had decreased sharply. After dodging the demon snake's attack, Lin Feng used the 3 forces of battle, the white tiger's killing intent and the heavens punishing fighting intent. The forces did not require magic power to operate. Seeing that the demon snake was killed, Lin Feng could finally breathe a sigh of relief. He was almost exhausted, lying on the ground and panting heavily. Chapter 1379. Ha ha ha. With this demon snake, my body will soon recover to more than 50%. Lin Feng looked at the demon snake's corpse and couldn't help but feel excited. The recovery of the physical body was the foundation of standing in this world. After recovering some of his strength, Lin Feng got up from the ground and looked into the depths. Lin Feng couldn't help but think, since there's an underwater cave, it seems that this world is not without cultivators. It's just that the laws of heaven and earth are suppressing cultivators' magic power and divine sense. It's obviously much more difficult to become a cultivator in this world than in other places. I wonder what kind of world this is. It's actually so strange. He put away the dagger and hid it in his sleeve, then walked into the cave. This cave had long become the demon snake's nest. Many things had been destroyed by the demon snake. However, the stone bed, stone table, stone chair, and other things in the cave were not damaged. Obviously, there had been a cultivator in seclusion here in the past. It was just that time had passed. That was something that happened a long time ago. It was unknown whether the cultivator was alive or dead. Perhaps he had left, or perhaps he had passed away. If it was the latter, there was no corpse. Perhaps he had been eaten by the demon snake? The cave was divided into 4 rooms. There was a cultivation room, a refining room, and an alchemy room. However, there was nothing left behind. Lin Feng discovered that there was a spirit gathering array in the cultivation room. In this world, even ordinary ores were extremely precious, not to mention array materials. Therefore, even the simplest spirit gathering array was very precious. Now, the spirit gathering array had gathered a lot of spirit chi. It's a pity that I can't use my magic power now. I can't use the immemorial dragonesque elephant art to absorb this spirit chi. If only I could absorb this spirit chi. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. Suddenly, at that moment, Lin Feng realized that the chi was moving towards his body of its own accord. Lin Feng was shocked. The sapling of the world tree? His eyes suddenly lit up as he thought of the treasure that had taken root in his dantian. He had successfully cultivated the fragment of the world tree that he had obtained in the East Sea. It had turned into a sapling and taken root in his dantian. It could absorb the spirit chi of heaven and earth day and night. The world tree. This was a divine tree that had been formed before the creation of the world. It was a pity that it had been severed during the primordial war. The world tree could devour any kind of energy in the universe. This world was lacking in energy. The sapling of the world tree hadn't moved before, but the spirit gathering array in this cultivation room had gathered a large amount of spirit chi. The sapling of the world tree immediately sensed it and began to devour the spirit chi in the area. Lin Feng hurriedly sat down cross-legged. Due to the suppression of his soul, Lin Feng was unable to use his soul to sense the current state of the sapling of the world tree. However, he could vaguely sense that the sapling of the world tree was constantly absorbing the spiritual chi in the surroundings due to his connection with it. Lin Feng closed his eyes and carefully sensed the weak connection between him and the world tree sapling. Gradually, Lin Feng vaguely saw the sapling of the world tree take root in his danci. After absorbing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, the spiritual chi of heaven and earth began to transform into dermic powers. The Chi Eater is immortal. Suddenly, a sentence popped up in Lin Feng's mind. The original sentence was, "Meat eaters are brave and valiant. Grain eaters are intelligent and skillful. Chi Eater is immortal and long-lived. And those who don't eat are immortal and divine." This came from the Taoist book, Dali Li Ji, Changing One's Origin. Lin Feng had discussed the Tao with Ji Butian in the past and had discussed the meaning of this sentence. Meat eaters' bodies could become strong, and their personalities would also become brave and valiant. Those who eat the 5 grains will become wise and far-sighted. Chi Eater would have the lifespan of a god. The 4th sentence meant that if one didn't consume anything, one would be an immortal god. An immortal god was called an immortal. Therefore, cultivators cultivated by consuming chi. Refining chi into one's body would increase one's cultivation level. Only by increasing one's cultivation level would one's lifespan increase. Only by increasing one's lifespan would one be able to live forever and even become immortal in the future. Lin Feng ate meat to recover his body. Chi Eater, on the other hand, recovered his dermic powers and cultivation level. There was a fundamental difference between the two. The physical body was the foundation of cultivation, while dermic powers were the expansion of cultivation. Only when the physical body was strong enough could it support the continuous increase of dermic powers and cultivation level. Lin Feng had been feeling helpless about his dermic powers being suppressed by this world. Now, the world tree sapling was devouring the spiritual energy of heaven and earth here. It was in line with the saying that chi-eater gods would not die. Eating the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, one could become an immortal god. Now, the world tree sapling was eating chi and transforming it into dermic powers. This made Lin Feng see hope of being able to circulate dermic powers. After all, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was devoured by the world tree sapling. The dermic powers contained in the world tree sapling became denser. However, Lin Feng still couldn't use this portion of dermic powers. Chi Eater, first strengthen your body. Chi will overflow when it's full. It seems that if I want to use the dermic powers in the world tree sapling, I'll have to wait until the world tree sapling has enough dermic powers stored in it before I can do that. Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder. Although he couldn't circulate dermic powers for the time being, Lin Feng was already extremely happy. He believed that when he could circulate dermic powers, he would be able to activate the archaic dragonesque elephant technique. Once the archaic dragonesque elephant technique could be used freely, there would definitely be a way to communicate with the elixir sea that was suppressed by the laws of heaven and earth in this world. As long as he could communicate with the elixir sea, he would be able to use the dermic powers in the elixir sea. Perhaps at that time, he would be able to break the restrictions of the laws of heaven and earth on his dermic powers and divine will. If he could really do that, Lin Feng believed that his strength would definitely gradually recover to its peak state. Of course, Lin Feng knew that this would take some time. This is a good place to cultivate, but it's a pity that the spirit gathering formation here is just a very ordinary one. The amount of spirit chi it can absorb is limited, and I can't find the materials to arrange a powerful spirit gathering formation. I can only use this spirit gathering formation to cultivate for a while. Once I can use my Li, I'll be able to open my storage ring and get whatever I want. Lin Feng stood up with a smile on his face. He carried the corpse of the demonic snake and left. When he reached the shore, he went straight to the village. Quick, look. Big Brother is back. Big Brother is carrying the demonic snake back. More than 10 youths exclaimed when they saw Lin Feng at the entrance of the village. They all looked at Lin Feng with admiration. The whole village was alarmed. Everyone ran out. When they saw the corpse of the 100-meter-long demonic snake, they were deeply shocked. The demonic snake was an overlord-level beast. Now, it had been killed. This was a visual shock to many people. Lin Feng dissected the demonic snake in front of the village. He shed the snake's skin, then took out the snake's gallbladder and blood. These were treasures that could help his body recover quickly. Chapter 1380. This demon snake is big enough. Let's have a big meal tonight, Lin Feng said with a smile. Immediately, the crowd burst into cheers. Eating meat made many people extremely excited. The children in the tiger meat village had eaten some, but the adults only drank some meat soup. Many adults were also greedy. Now, they could finally eat meat. Thinking of the taste of meat, many people were drooling. Village chief, I remember that you have some fruit wine that you brewed yourself. Bring it to me, Lin Feng said. The village brewed fruit wine that was brewed from mountain fruits. These fruit wines were not for drinking, but to exchange for food. When the village chief heard that Lin Feng needed fruit wine, he quickly nodded and said, Little brother, wait here. I'll help you carry it out. Lin Feng nodded. Not long after, the village chief and 2 villagers carried out 3 jars of fruit wine. Lin Feng asked someone to prepare a big pot. He mixed the fruit wine with the demon snake blood and boiled it. This was snake blood wine. Snake blood wine could fully display the effects of the snake blood. Many people smelled the scent of the snake blood wine and staggered left and right, almost falling to the ground. The fruit wine's alcohol content was not strong, but after mixing it with the snake blood wine, it would become a very strong wine. Even the smell of the wine was intoxicating. Many villagers sniffed with all their might and enjoyed the smell of the wine. It was as if they had drunk a jar of strong wine. One by one, they fell to the ground drunk. Then, they fell asleep. Gulp, gulp. Lin Feng drank in large mouthfuls. He finished the big pot of snake blood wine in a short time. Village chief, bring a few more jars of wine, Lin Feng said. The village chief did not dare to hesitate and ordered people to bring out the dozen or so jars of fruit wine they had stored. Lin Feng cooked the snake blood wine 4 times in a row. He finished it all. Many people were dumbfounded. Close to 20 jars of fruit wine and 3 large jars of snake blood. He finished it all by himself? Wasn't he too good at drinking? Cultivators had huge appetites, and the stronger the cultivator, the more this was the case. In the eyes of cultivators, Lin Feng drinking so much snake blood wine was nothing much. However, in the eyes of ordinary people, it would be extremely shocking. After drinking the snake blood wine, Lin Feng felt his body heat up. He knew that the effects of the snake blood wine were starting to take effect, which was naturally a good thing. Lin Feng, village chief, and the others only said a few words before flying towards a mountain peak not far away. He sat cross-legged on a huge rock at the top of the mountain. Then, he took out the snake gall and ate it raw. The best effect was to eat the snake gall raw. The snake gallbladder and snake blood wine were absorbed by his body. Lin Feng could clearly feel the astonishing changes in his body. When Lin Feng's body had completely absorbed the energy of the snake gallbladder and snake blood wine, Lin Feng's body had finally recovered to 50% of its peak condition. A smile appeared on his face. With his current physical body, Lin Feng believed that if he encountered a ferocious beast of the demon snake's level again, he could easily kill it. There would not be a life-and-death situation like before. Lin Feng walked towards the mountain village with light steps. The village was having dinner. More than 1,000 people had gathered together, and it was very lively. Many people were unusually excited to be able to eat meat. When they saw Lin Feng return, everyone greeted Lin Feng. When night fell, the mountain village became quiet. Lin Feng was still living with Ying, and Xiaoshen. However, their conditions were much better now, and village chief had changed to a bigger residence for them. The new residence was similar to a cave. There were 2 rooms, an inner room and an outer room. There were also 2 quilts and mattresses. This was originally prepared by village chief for his son's wedding. Now, he had sent it to Lin Feng. He was very thoughtful. Lin Feng lived in the outer room, while Ying, and Xiaoshen lived in the inner room. Lin Feng sat cross-legged, trying to sense the world tree sapling. He hoped that he could quickly form a connection with it. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Light footsteps could be heard coming from the inner room, and Inger walked out of the room. "Why aren't you sleeping?" Lin Feng asked. Inger blushed. "I can't sleep. Big brother Feng, I want to talk to you." Lin Feng nodded. Inger smiled and sat down beside Lin Feng. The night was very cold. Lin Feng wrapped Inger in a blanket to prevent her from freezing. "Big brother Feng, everyone said that you would leave the village. Is that true?" Inger asked in a small voice. Lin Feng was slightly stunned. He could hear the disappointment and reluctance in Inger's voice. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile bitterly. Was this little girl's first awakening of love? He said, "I will stay here for the time being." Inger was very sensible. Although she was disappointed, she knew that Lin Feng wasn't an ordinary person. Lin Feng couldn't possibly stay in a mountain village for long. That night, Lin Feng and Inger talked about many things. Inger was a little girl. She was soft on the outside but strong on the inside. She was very strong. Her appearance was very pure and lovely. She was very likable. However, Lin Feng only treated her like a little sister. He didn't have any other thoughts. Moreover, Inger was too young. She was just 16 years old. She was still a delicate flower. Lin Feng knew that Inger secretly liked him. However, he wouldn't do anything to Inger. The next day, Zhang Danian and the others went to the town to sell the 4 beast skins. In addition, the village had collected a large amount of fire vein stones. They also needed to transport them to the town in exchange for food. Lin Feng planned to follow Zhang Danian and the others to the town. Firstly, he was worried that Zhang Danian and the others would be targeted if they sold the 4 beast skins. They might even be robbed and killed on the way. This kind of thing was very common. Whether it was in the secular world or the world of cultivators, killing people to steal their treasures was something that could be seen anywhere. Second, after Lin Feng came to this world, he didn't even know what kind of world this was. He hoped to find out some information about this world in the town. Third, Lin Feng hoped to find some materials to set up a spirit gathering formation in the town. He wanted to use the opportunity of the underwater spirit gathering formation to increase its power. This way, The spirit gathering formation could gather more spirit chi for the world tree sapling to absorb. As the world tree sapling transformed the spirit chi into Dharma power, Lin Feng would be able to circulate his Dharma power faster. A team of more than 100 people pulled 20 carriages full of fire-veined stones. They were very careful and vigilant along the way. This was because lunar beasts or other ferocious beasts could rush out of the forest at any time. If they encountered lunar beasts or other ferocious beasts, it would be a disaster for the team. Fortunately, this time, they didn't encounter any lunar beasts or other ferocious beasts. They set out in the morning and traveled for 8 hours. In the afternoon, they could see the sizable town in the distance. Lin Feng had already asked Zhang Danian about the currency in this world. The currency used in this world was gold, silver, and copper. 1 gold coin for 100 silver coins. 1 silver coin for 100 copper coins. 10 copper coins could buy 50 kilograms of grain. Zhang Danian wasn't clear about the price of the fierce beasts, but he had seen someone selling the fierce beast skin of a red-eyed demon lion for 10 gold coins. Although Lin Feng had never seen a scarlet-eyed demonic lion before, Lin Feng guessed that the scarlet-eyed demonic lion was a vicious beast similar to the dragon-tailed tiger. The 2-headed blood wolf and shadow leopard were slightly weaker than the dragon-tailed tiger. As for the demon snake, its strength was more outstanding. It should be 3 or 4 levels higher than the dragon-tailed tiger. Lin Feng roughly estimated the price of the 4 types of beast skins and said, 8 gold coins for the 2-headed blood wolf and shadow leopard, 10 gold coins for the dragon-tailed tiger, and 40 gold coins for the demon snake. Little brother, lower the price a bit. It's not the peak season for beast skins now. Your price is too expensive. The middle-aged man continued. He was clearly moved, but he still wanted to continue bargaining. Lin Feng said, the price is already very fair. The middle-aged man saw that Lin Feng wasn't willing to lower the price, so he nodded and said, all right, wrap this up for me. Lin Feng squatted down and was about to wrap up the beast's skin to make a deal with the middle-aged man. Suddenly, a group of more than 10 people squeezed in from outside. Wait, the leader coldly shouted. So it's Master Li. When the middle-aged man saw the man in the lead, he hurriedly bowed. These people were wearing mercenary uniforms, so they should be mercenaries. The surrounding people looked at this group of people with reverence. It seemed that these mercenaries had a very high status, but thinking about it, it seemed to be very normal. This world was different from the Sky Martial Continent. The Sky Martial Continent was a world of cultivators, and mercenaries were a relatively low-level profession. Usually, only rogue cultivators would join together to form a mercenary group. If one had a big power or a big background, who would be willing to be a mercenary? To live a life of blood on the blade? Moreover, those with talent did not need to be mercenaries. They could join all kinds of big powers. But it was obviously different in this world. In this world, the laws of heaven and earth suppressed magic power and spiritual will. Cultivators were extremely rare. Such a powerful warrior was in existence that looked down on all living things. Mercenary groups were usually formed by warriors. They were active in dangerous forests, hunting powerful beasts, searching for precious spirit medicines, ores, and so on. Therefore, mercenary groups were a symbol of strength, wealth, and status. Ordinary people could not afford to offend mercenary groups. Fatso Lu, I've taken a fancy to these 4 pieces of beast skins. The leader of the mercenaries was called Li Gang. He glanced at the middle-aged Fatso indifferently. The middle-aged Fatso was called Lu Qing. He was the owner of the town's largest tailor shop. Fatso Lu naturally did not dare to offend these mercenaries. He nodded and said, since Master Li has taken a fancy to them, these beast skins are naturally Master Li's. Good, it seems that you, Fatso Lu, are still working for others. Li Gang smiled faintly and ordered, give the gold coins to this kid. Yes, master. Immediately, a mercenary walked out and handed Lin Feng a bag. Lin Feng opened the bag and counted. There were a total of 20 gold coins. He said, my 4 pieces of beast skins are worth 66 gold coins, not 20 gold coins. I think you must have mistaken the amount. Hearing Lin Feng's words, Li Gang's face suddenly sank. He said coldly, kid, don't you know the rules of the market? Fatso Lu hurriedly whispered in Lin Feng's ear, "Little brother, these mercenaries are people we can't afford to offend. They have the final say on how much the things they like are worth. Since they gave you 20 gold coins, it means that your beast skins are only worth 20 gold coins. Don't get into a conflict with them. Otherwise, not only will you lose your 20 gold coins, you might even lose your life." At this time, Li Gang's cold eyes swept over Lin Feng and asked word by word, "Fatso Lu should have told you some rules. I'm asking you now, are these 4 pieces of beast skins only worth 20 gold coins? Answer me now." Chapter 1382. Li Gang was being overbearing. Obviously, he didn't put Lin Feng in his eyes. The rest of the people looked at Lin Feng with pity. Mercenary groups were the ones that couldn't be provoked the most. These mercenaries were powerful and could kill without batting an eye. Most importantly, many of them were backed by powerful forces. Offending a mercenary group was akin to courting death. Therefore, now that Lin Feng's 4 pieces of fearsome beast skins had caught Li Gang's eye, everyone thought that Lin Feng should pay to avoid this disaster. 66 gold coins. 1 less and you can't take it away, Lin Feng said indifferently. "Boy, what did you say?" After hearing Lin Feng's words, Li Gang's face suddenly became gloomy. He thought that Lin Feng would swallow his anger and give him the items. Li Gang had experienced this kind of thing too many times. He had always been so overbearing when buying things, buying them at a low price. Many people were dissatisfied. So what? Unless they didn't want to live, they wouldn't dare to disobey him. But now, this boy in front of him actually dared to refuse to sell the fearsome beast skins to him at a low price. Wasn't this a slap to his face? Li Gang's face was as gloomy as it could be, and as ugly as it could be. He had lost face in front of so many people. In Li Gang's view, this was equivalent to being slapped in the face. The surrounding onlookers were all dumbfounded as they looked at Lin Feng. This boy actually dared to refuse to sell the fearsome beast skins to Li Gang. Wasn't this offending Li Gang to death? Was this the so-called money is more important than life? What a pity. He's still so young. Many people shook their heads. They thought that Lin Feng was going to die this time. Li Gang's temper was fierce and cruel. 3 years ago, he had taken a fancy to a spirit herb sold by someone and offered 3 gold coins. The other party thought that the price was too low and didn't sell it. Then, that person was beaten to death by Li Gang's subordinates. Since then, no one dared to disobey Li Gang. 3 years had passed. Someone did it again. It was precisely because they understood Li Gang's vicious character that many people felt that Lin Feng was doomed this time. A murderous look appeared on Li Gang's face. He said coldly, "Brat, you're shameless. Break his legs for me." Yes. As soon as Li Gang's voice fell, 2 mercenaries immediately jumped up, one on the left and one on the right. They looked at Lin Feng with a ferocious smile and a murderous intent. The mercenary on the left used a move called Flood Dragon Goes to Sea. On the other hand, the mercenary on the right displayed a move called Fierce Tiger Fights Eagle. As expected, these mercenaries were not simple people. They knew martial arts moves, and compared to ordinary people, they were superior existences. However, in Lin Feng's eyes, they were not worth mentioning at all. Now that Lin Feng's physical body had recovered by 50%, he could easily kill overlord-level beasts. These ordinary mercenaries were as weak as ants in his eyes. Facing these 2 people's attacks, Lin Feng used a move called Collapsing Fist. This Collapsing Fist was an Earth-level martial art move. It was a martial art that he had learned when he was in Jialan Academy. Its power was quite tyrannical. Bang bang, 2 consecutive strikes. Kacha kacha. The 2 men who were fighting Lin Feng had their bones broken inch by inch. They could not help but spit out large mouthfuls of blood and fell to the ground, wailing in pain. What? So powerful? Seeing that Lin Feng had beaten the 2 mercenaries half to death in an instant, many people exclaimed in disbelief. In the eyes of ordinary people, these mercenaries were martial arts experts who could easily kill beasts. Now, in Lin Feng's hands, they could not even withstand a single blow. Lin Feng's move caused quite a bit of shock. "Brat, you dare to hurt our Heaven Fiend mercenary group's people. You're courting death. Go, kill this brat." Seeing that his 2 men were injured, Li Gang's face suddenly became incomparably gloomy, and he could not help but sternly shout. Immediately after he gave the order, the 20 or so mercenaries behind him all rushed towards Lin Feng to kill him. Hurry up and disperse, lest you get caught in the crossfire. The surrounding people who had been watching the show quickly dispersed. More than 20 mercenaries' expressions were ferocious. Many of them took out their weapons and slashed towards Lin Feng. That little brother seems to be a martial artist, but as the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. I'm afraid that little brother is not a match for the Heaven Fiend mercenary group's mercenaries. Yes, there are too many of them. There are more than 20 of them, and that little brother is only one person. How can he be a match for the Heaven Fiend mercenary group's people? What a pity, what a pity. He's already a martial arts expert at such a young age, but now he's going to fall here. Many people were discussing spiritedly. Obviously, they were not optimistic about Lin Feng's ability to withstand the attacks of a group of mercenaries. Bang, bang, bang. But at this moment, something unbelievable happened. They saw Lin Feng rush into the crowd, flashing and twisting. No matter how the mercenaries attacked him, but they could not even touch the corner of his clothes. And those mercenaries could not withstand Lin Feng's attacks. One of them was sent flying with a punch. The sound of bones cracking was mixed with mournful screams, one after the other. One by one, the mercenaries were sent flying. Their arms were broken, and they fell to the ground, coughing up blood. You. Seeing this scene, Li Gang was so scared that his face turned pale. He did not think that Lin Feng would be so terrifying. Only now did he know what kind of person he had offended. But now, it was too late. Seeing Lin Feng walking towards him step by step, Li Gang shouted, "Boy, let me tell you, you better not hurt me. My brother-in-law is the leader of the Heaven Fiend mercenary group. If you dare to hurt me, you're dead." The Heaven Fiend mercenary group had a great background. It was rumored that there was even a strong cultivator who could use a sword to kill people from a distance. Therefore, no one dared to offend the Heaven Fiend mercenary group. Li Gang was originally a scoundrel. Later, his sister was taken in by the leader of the Heaven Fiend mercenary group and became his 36th concubine. And this Li Gang was like a fox pretending to be a tiger. You think I'm afraid? Lin Feng looked at Li Gang indifferently. He took a step forward and appeared in front of Li Gang. He stretched out his right hand and grabbed Li Gang's neck, lifting him into the air. Li Gang's face was red, and he looked at Lin Feng with a face full of fear. "Get out of the way. All of you get out of the way." At this moment, hundreds of mercenaries rushed in from outside. These mercenaries looked fierce, and many of them were carrying crossbows, which were powerful long-range weapons. It's the third leader of the Heaven Fiend mercenary group. Seeing the newcomers, many people's faces changed, and they quickly made way for them. That little brother is dead for sure. Many people whispered. Many people looked at Lin Feng, but now, they looked at Lin Feng with pity. No matter how powerful his martial arts were, the experts of the Heaven Fiend mercenary group were carrying crossbows. If they shot arrows, wouldn't Lin Feng be shot into a hornet's nest? Therefore, many people felt that no matter how powerful Lin Feng was, facing this group of experts from the Heaven Fiend mercenary group, he would die. Chapter 1383. The members of the Heaven Fiend mercenary group surrounded Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng was not worried or afraid. With his current physical body, even magic treasures would not be able to harm him, let alone ordinary arrows. They were just a group of mercenaries. In Lin Feng's eyes, they were not even worth mentioning. "Brat, how dare you injure the members of the Heaven Fiend mercenary group like this? Who are you?" A skinny mercenary walked out. This person was the third leader of the Heaven Fiend mercenary group, Wu Xing. This Wu Xing was different from Li Gang. Although Li Gang was arrogant and despotic, he was not a scheming person. Wu Xing was different. One could tell from his appearance that he was definitely a ruthless person. This kind of person was ruthless and very good at hiding his true emotions. Now that he saw that Lin Feng was not a simple person, Wu Xing did not directly attack Lin Feng, nor did he threaten him like how Li Gang had threatened Lin Feng. Instead, he first tried to find out more about Lin Feng. Lin Feng said indifferently, "Who am I? You don't need to know. Let's make things clear today. How are we going to settle this? How do you want to settle this? Wu Xing asked indifferently. Pay me 200 gold coins, and I'll return the person to you. Lin Feng said indifferently. Is this brat crazy? When the onlookers heard Lin Feng's words, the corners of their mouths twitched violently. Did this guy not see how dangerous the situation he was facing was? He actually dared to ask Wu Xing for 200 gold coins. Wasn't he too daring? Wu Xing also did not expect Lin Feng to ask for 200 gold coins. Even with his temperament, the corners of his mouth could not help but twitch violently. He looked at Lin Feng gloomily and said, Brat, do you know what you're talking about? Lin Feng said indifferently, Of course I know what I'm talking about. This bastard is called Li Gang, right? He's acting recklessly in front of me. If he wants to appease my anger, how can he not pay a price? Brother Wu, save me. Li Gang looked at Wu Xing with a pale face and couldn't help but beg loudly. He had seen Lin Feng's methods and knew that Lin Feng was ruthless and merciless. Therefore, at this moment, Li Gang was really scared. No one has ever been able to threaten my heaven-fiend mercenary group. Wu Xing looked coldly at Lin Feng and waved his hand. In an instant, hundreds of heaven-fiend mercenary group's mercenaries took out their crossbows and loaded them with arrows. Then, they aimed at Lin Feng. As long as Wu Xing gave the order, these people would shoot the crossbows. Shoot Lin Feng into a hornet's nest. This was Wu Xing's confidence. He believed that Lin Feng would choose to submit in the end. Wu Xing, your heaven-fiend mercenary group is making such a big fuss in our Nanzhong town. Aren't you looking down on our Nan clan? At this moment, a cold voice came from afar. Everyone looked over and saw a few carriages passing by the market. Around the carriages were dozens of guards protecting them. The voice came from the first carriage. This first carriage was pulled by 9 mysterious yellow fierce horses. It was a magnificent bronze carriage. That's South Jaitin's carriage. Many people cried out in surprise. South Jaitin was the Nan clan's clan leader and also the mayor of Nanzhong town. The mayor of Nanzhong town changed every 5 years. The clan leader of the Nan clan and the Zhang clan respectively held the position. This time, it was South Jaitin's turn to hold the position of mayor. At this moment, the carriage's curtains opened and 3 people came down from the carriage. One of them was a tall and sturdy middle-aged man. He was South Jaitin. There were also 2 young women. Seeing the 2 young women, many people's eyes lit up. Of the 2 women, one had a gentle temperament and the other was as cold as the moon. They were both first-class beauties. The 2 women were South Jaitin's daughters. The gentle one was called Sunny Nam, and the cold one was called Nan Man So it's Brother Nan. After seeing Nan Zaiyan, Wu Xingbao cupped his fists and said, Brother Nan, this brat has injured so many of my heaven-fiend mercenary group's members. If we let this matter slide, how will we survive in the future? South Jaitin said, It's better to squash enmity than to keep it alive. There must be some misunderstanding. How about this? I'll pay for the medical expenses and I'll buy this little brother's ferocious beast hide. Today, give me some face and let's both take a step back. South Jaitin was the mayor of Nanzhong town. If Wu Xing didn't give South Jaitin face, he would definitely offend South Jaitin. When he thought of this, Wu Xing could only swallow his anger and say, All right, today, I'll give Brother Nan face and won't bicker with this kid. What about this little brother? South Jaitin looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. Although South Jaitin was the peacemaker, Lin Feng knew that Wu Xing and the others wouldn't let this matter go. Of course, Lin Feng didn't care. If they wanted to seek revenge, they could come at any time. Now that South Jaitin was the peacemaker, it was obvious that this South Jaitin was a good person. Wu Xing guessed that he had seen Wu Xing surrounded by the heaven-fiend mercenary group and felt that Wu Xing would be at a disadvantage, so he decided to help Wu Xing. In that case, Wu Xing had to take South Jaitin's face into consideration. He threw Li Gang to the ground and said, I don't have any objections. South Jaitin waved his hand, and a servant came forward and handed Lin Feng and Wu Xing a bag. Lin Feng opened the bag and saw that there were 500 gold coins inside. His heart skipped a beat. It seemed that South Jaitin had come to mediate this matter and even gave him 500 gold coins to buy 4 pieces of vicious beast hides. Lin Feng guessed that this person would definitely invite him to a gathering later. Wu Xing also looked at the gold coins in the bag and seemed to be quite satisfied with the amount. He put away the gold coins and looked coldly at Lin Feng before leading the Heaven Fiend mercenary group away. Haha, how should I address you, little brother? South Jaitin walked forward and cupped his fists with a smile. Lin Feng cupped his fists as well. This isn't a good place to talk. Why don't you come with me to my residence? South Jaitin smiled as he invited Wu Xing. Lin Feng nodded and happily agreed. He also wanted to ask South Jaitin about this world and what it was like. Lin Feng had just arrived in this world and was unfamiliar with everything, so he needed to understand some things. South Jaitin was the mayor of South Zhang Town, so he definitely knew more than anyone else. Perhaps he would be able to get some information from South Jaitin. Little brother, please. South Jaitin smiled as he invited Lin Feng into a carriage behind him. South Jaitin's two daughters looked deeply at Lin Feng before getting into the carriage as well. The group quickly left and returned to the Nan family's residence. Chapter 1384. The Nan family's residence covered an area of 100 mu. The construction was very unique. There were small bridges, flowing water, rockery, and strange rocks. It was very poetic and had the beauty of a Jiangnan garden. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The people in the mountain village even had problems eating, but the Nan family was so luxurious. In any world, there was an extremely serious gap between the rich and the poor. As the saying goes, wine and meat stinks at the door, and bones freeze to death on the road. Was this the truth? South Jaitin invited Lin Feng to the living room to chat, while the two young ladies of the Nan family, Sunny Nam and Nan Monair, walked towards the backyard. This time, South Jaitin and Nan Monair were going to pick up Sunny Nam, who was going home. Sunny Nam cultivated in a sect in Blackrock City and was the pride of the entire Nan family. Big sister, how is your cultivation in the sect? Nan Monair said with some envy. Back then, she and her sister Sunny Nam participated in the test together, but their talent was not enough, so they were not selected by the sect. There are many geniuses in the sect, but I'm very ordinary. Thinking of the fierce competition in the sect, Sunny Nam couldn't help but sigh. In this world, cultivation resources were extremely scarce. Therefore, even if they could join the sect to cultivate, they had to abide by the survival of the fittest mechanism. Many people would be eliminated. This was because the sect didn't have that many resources to nurture too many people. Obviously, they could only nurture a small number of the most talented people. Sunny Nam had joined the sect for 12 years and cultivated diligently, but she also felt that the future was bleak and her heart was sad. Nan Monair said, "It can't be, right? Sister's talent is so good. How can you be ordinary?" Sunny Nam smiled bitterly in her heart. There were many things that she couldn't tell her father South Jaitin and her sister Nan Monair. Let's not talk about this anymore. I heard that father is planning to arrange a marriage for you. You're 20 years old now, so you really need to get engaged. Sunny Nam said, "Sister isn't married yet. I'm not in a hurry," Nan Monair said. Sunny Nam replied, "In the end, there are still some differences between you and I. Although Sunny Nam's cultivation was not particularly high, she was a cultivator after all. Living for a few hundred years was not a problem for her. As for Nan Monair, her lifespan was naturally far less than her sister, Sunny Nam." Nan Monair stuck out her tongue and said, "Even if I have to marry a genius disciple of the sect." Sunny Nam smiled bitterly. The sect's genius disciples were all high and mighty. They didn't even look at the ordinary female disciples of the same sect, let alone Nan Monair, who wasn't even a sect's disciple, a young lady from a small family. Of course, Sunny Nam wouldn't say these words to her sister because she believed that her father would arrange her sister's marriage properly. At this time, Nan Monair said, "Sis, why do you think father is looking for that person? That guy actually dared to offend the Heaven Fiend mercenary group just because he had some martial arts skills. He really overestimated himself. If it wasn't for father, he would definitely be dead today. I really don't know why father invited such a person to our home." Sunny Nam said, "Father definitely has his own thoughts and intentions." Nan Monair said, "Sis, why don't we go and eavesdrop on father and that guy's conversation? If father knows, he will blame us." Sunny Nam said, Nan Manair said, "If we hide in the back hall and listen, Father definitely won't be able to find us." After saying that, Nan Manair didn't care whether her sister Nanchinger agreed or not and pulled Nanchinger towards the living room. Sunny Nam couldn't help but smile bitterly and could only follow her sister to the living room. In the living room, the guests of honor were seated. A servant girl served tea, and after taking a sip, South J-Tin smiled and said, "Little brother looks unfamiliar. You don't seem to be a local?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "I came from outside." "Little brother, what are you doing here?" South J-Tin asked. Lin Feng said, "I've been wandering around, wondering if I can find a large power to rely on. I wonder if Lord Nin can introduce me to the various powers around here." South J-Tin smiled bitterly and said, "To be honest, I don't know much about the powers around here. I only know that there's a Blackrock City 3,000 kilometers to the west. There are some sects in Blackrock City, but it's not easy to join them. You need to have great talent." Lin Feng said, "Thank you for telling me, Lord Nan." Actually, Lin Feng didn't want to join any of those sections. He just wanted to ask about this world in a roundabout way. From their simple conversation, Lin Feng guessed that even South J-Tin didn't know much about this world. Perhaps only by going to Blackrock City would one be able to understand what kind of world this was. South J-Tin said, "Everyone envies cultivators, but it's too difficult to become a cultivator. I think that it's better to occupy a place and live a carefree life." Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. South J-Tin's words clearly didn't come from his heart because Lin Feng had discovered that his eldest daughter was a cultivator. However, his eldest daughter's cultivation wasn't very high, and she hadn't condensed any magic power. Lin Feng didn't show any signs of abnormality. He smiled and said, "Lord Nan, you're smiling at life. Your understanding of life isn't something that a junior like me can compare to. Haha, it's just a little understanding of life." South J-Tin smiled and said, "Seeing how extraordinary your attacks were today, it seems that you've trained hard in martial arts before?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "Yes, I have some achievements in martial arts." South J-Tin said, "It's not just some achievements. You're comparable to a peerless expert. You're so powerful at such a young age. This is the first time I've seen such a young talent. It's a pity that you've already missed the opportunity to become a cultivator. If you want to become a cultivator, you have to learn breathing techniques from a young age and absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth to temper your body. It's too late to learn now." Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. It seemed that this world's cultivation method was different from the Tianwu continents. In the Tianwu continent, cultivators first cultivated their bodies. Only after breaking through to the martial king realm did they begin to refine their chi. They had to convert their chi into magic power. On the other hand, the cultivators in this world seemed to refine their chi from the beginning. There was a fundamental difference. Lin Feng didn't know how the realms in this world were divided. When South J-Tin saw that Lin Feng didn't say anything, he couldn't help but continue. "Actually, I feel like old friends with you at first sight. It's not easy for you to travel alone. I have a daughter who's 20 years old this year. She's very beautiful, and she's proficient in the four arts. I plan to betroth my daughter to you. What do you think?" Lin Feng had just taken a sip of tea when he heard that South J-Tin wanted to betroth his daughter to him. He couldn't help but choke on his tea and start coughing violently. South J-Tin smiled and said, "I didn't expect you to be so excited. It seems that you approve of this marriage very much." Chapter 1385. There was a reason why South J-Tin wanted to marry his daughter to Lin Feng. Because South J-Tin only had 2 daughters and no son to inherit the family business, he wanted to recruit a son-in-law. However, recruiting a son-in-law was also very particular. If he found someone of equal social status to marry, then the other party's family would not allow their son to marry into the family. Moreover, South J-Tin was worried that his family business would be taken away after 100 years. Instead, it was best to find someone without any background to be the son-in-law. Lin Feng was young and a martial arts master. This would ensure that the future son-in-law of the Nan family would have enough strength to protect the Nan family. Besides, Lin Feng was alone, traveling all over the world. The life of a vagrant in the outside world was definitely not easy. If Lin Feng agreed, Then the Nan family would be Lin Feng's family in the future, and he would be able to settle down. South Jietin would also not have to worry about the Nan family's business being taken away after 100 years. Of course, there was another point. Lin Feng was indeed a talented person. When he stood together with his daughter, it was obvious that they were a match made in heaven. South Jietin had also interacted with a lot of family members. Those so-called family members were very different from Lin Feng in terms of temperament, speech, and behavior. This was also the reason why South Jietin finally targeted Lin Feng. "Father, what nonsense are you talking about?" At this moment, Nan Manair angrily ran out from the back hall. Then, Sunny Nam also walked out. Sunny Nam was more sensible and slightly bowed to her father and Lin Feng. Nan Manair's face was extremely ugly. It was obvious that South Jietin wanted to marry her to Lin Feng, which made Nan Manair unusually angry. "Manair, you're not young anymore. It's time to get married." South Jietin's face darkened and said. Nan Manair said, "I don't agree. Even if I have to marry, Nan Manair, will marry a genius disciple of the sect." Nan Manair's personality was arrogant, and she had always had high standards. Therefore, it was very difficult for her to accept marrying an ordinary person like Lin Feng. Marriage is a matter of the parents' order and matchmaker's words. How can you be unreasonable here? South Jietin suddenly slammed the table and said in a deep voice. Nan Manair angrily looked at Lin Feng and said, "Let me ask you, are you qualified to marry me?" "Sister, don't hurt others." Sunny Nam pulled Nan Manair. Lin Feng raised his eyelids. He didn't look at the arrogant young Miss Nan Manair. Instead, he looked at South Jietin and said, "Thank you for your kind intentions, Sir Nan, but I have always liked to wander around and don't like to stay in one place for too long. Therefore, I'm destined to disappoint Sir Nan. Today, Sir Nan helped me out and bought 4 fierce bee skins at a high price. I will remember this matter in my heart and will definitely repay you in the future. I still have some matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first. Little brother, please wait. This girl doesn't know any better. Let's have a good talk." South Jietin said, trying to persuade Lin Feng to stay. It seemed that South Jietin really wanted to recruit Lin Feng as his son-in-law. Lin Feng had already made up his mind. He cupped his fists and walked out. Nan Manair snorted. "At least this person has some self-awareness. I don't need to chase him away personally." Nan Qinger sighed and said, "Little sister, your words are hurtful. Even if you wanted to refuse, you could have chosen a more tactful method. You really shouldn't have questioned him directly. You're embarrassing him." Nan Manair said indifferently, "If I didn't do this, how could I have let this person back off?" "Shut up," South Jietin shouted angrily. Nan Manair snorted. "Why should I shut up? I have the right to choose my marriage. If father insists on marrying me to a useless person, I won't agree." South Jietin said angrily, "Do you think father will harm you? What kind of person has father not seen all these years? That young man just now, whether it's his appearance, character, or speech, they are all excellent. If you marry him, you will definitely be happy in the future. Now that you've chased him away with ridicule, it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens to find such an outstanding person in the future." "Humph, outstanding person? He's that kind of person?" Nan Manair curled her lips, then turned around and ran out. "Unfilial daughter." South Jietin slammed the table in anger. "Father, sister is still young. Don't get angry because of this. It won't be good if she hurts her body," Sunny Nam advised. South Jietin sighed. Quickly chase after her and say goodbye to that young friend for me." "Okay." Sunny Nam nodded. Lin Feng was led out of the Nan clan by a servant. Not long after, Sunny Nam caught up with Lin Feng. "Young master, wait a moment," Sunny Nam called out. Lin Feng stopped and turned around to see Sunny Nam. He cupped his fists and said, "May I know if young Miss Nan has any business with me?" Sunny Nam looked at Lin Feng apologetically and said, "Young master, Manner is still young. If she offended you, please forgive her." Lin Feng was slightly stunned. He didn't expect Sunny Nam to apologize for her sister. In fact, he wasn't angry because of Nan Manair's words. It was like a beggar pointing at a billionaire and calling him a pauper. Why would the billionaire care about a beggar? It was too degrading. The billionaire would only think that the beggar was funny. It was just like how Lin Feng thought that the arrogant Nan Manair was funny. Lin Feng said, "Young Miss Nan, please don't worry. I won't take it to heart." Sunny Nam smiled and said, "Father didn't personally send you off, so he asked me to send you off. If you have any difficulties in the future, you can come to the Nan clan." "Thank you." Lin Feng cupped his fists. He then bid farewell to Sunny Nam and left. The Nan clan's matter was just a small interlude in Lin Feng's eyes. He didn't take it to heart. Lin Feng went to the town and strolled around the market. He went to many shops and street stalls to look for formation materials. After all, this was a small place. Even if there were formation materials, many people didn't know about them. They only sold them as ordinary items. Lin Feng's luck wasn't bad. After 4 hours, he collected more than 30 formation materials. Although they were all low-level formation materials, they could be of great use to Lin Feng. When he passed by a stall, Lin Feng's attention was attracted by an item on the stall. It was a palm-sized dark red stone. Lin Feng felt that the stone wasn't simple. Chapter 1386. There were many spots on the dark red stone, making it look like a bloody rain. This stone? Could it be a blood rain stone? Lin Feng was puzzled and thought of a type of ore. It was said that whenever a large-scale battle broke out, it would cause great suffering. Even the heavens would weep blood. Blood rain would fall. A stone soaked in blood rain for a long time would become a blood rain stone. Blood rain stone was an extremely precious material that could be used to forge divine artifacts. Furthermore, the blood rain stone itself was a main material for setting up arrays. Many arrays could use the blood rain stone. Of course, Lin Feng wasn't sure if this was a blood rain stone. After all, he had only heard of blood rain stones and had never seen one before. "Boss, let me see that stone." Lin Feng pointed at the blood rain stone. The boss was a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s. He smiled and handed the stone to Lin Feng, saying, "This stone has been passed down from my ancestors. If I wasn't in need of money, I wouldn't be selling it." Lin Feng laughed inwardly. These businessmen were all people who spoke human language. Their only purpose in doing this was to sell as many things as possible and sell them at a high price as much as possible. Lin Feng carefully examined the stone and found that it gave off a bone-piercing cold feeling when he held it in his hand. It also emitted a faint bloody smell. From its appearance to its touch to its smell, it matched the description of a blood rain stone. Lin Feng could basically confirm that this was a blood rain stone. He said, "I want this stone. What's the price?" "1 silver coin." The boss said. Lin Feng tossed a gold coin to the boss and smiled, saying, "I'm in a good mood today, so here's a reward for you." After receiving the gold coin, the boss still looked as if he was in a dream. "Thank you, young master, thank you." The boss regained his senses and thanked Lin Feng profusely. Lin Feng smiled faintly. This boss didn't know what was good for him. Perhaps there were very few people in this world who knew what was good for them. Even a mountain of gold wouldn't be enough to buy a blood rain stone like this. Finding treasures from stalls was a very interesting thing. If one could find a good treasure, it would definitely give one a sense of satisfaction and excitement. "Young master, are you willing to part with the stone in your hand?" All of a sudden, a soft voice was heard. Lin Feng glanced over and saw a dozen young people on the left side of the street. The one who had just spoken was a woman wearing a purple dress. She had a graceful body and looked delicate and beautiful. When she spoke, her voice was soft and pleasant to the ears. "Cultivators." Lin Feng frowned. These people had qi in their bodies. Although their qi was very weak, they were clearly cultivators. Said Lin Feng, "I'm sorry. Sorry, young master. I'm willing to pay 100 times the price." The woman said. Lin Feng shook his head. "It's indeed hard to part with it." Another woman said, "Kid, you really don't know what's good for you. A delicate beauty like Chan wants to buy it from you, and you actually rejected her. When facing a beauty like Chan you have to know how to be gentle, understand?" The person who spoke was dressed in a fiery red dress. She had a fiery figure, and her lips were fiery red. Her face was also extremely beautiful. However, her words were more or less mocking the woman from before. The woman called Chan said, Senior Sister Hong, please don't say that. You're making me suffer. Lin Feng didn't have much interest in being entangled with these people, so he turned and left. Uncle Zhang and the others should have already returned. Lin Feng couldn't help but think to himself as he walked down the street. He hadn't been with Zhang Danian and the others, so they should have returned after exchanging for food. Lin Feng didn't stop and continued walking. About 15 kilometers away from Nanjing town, Lin Feng was blocked by the Heaven Fiend mercenary group's members in a forest. Lin Feng had already expected this. These people wouldn't let him off so easily. Kid, you've got guts. You actually dared to come out. Now that you're in the wilderness, no one can save you. Wu Xing looked at Lin Feng with a sinister expression. Have you thought about how you're going to die? Li Gang was also in the group, and he glared at Lin Feng with venomous eyes. He wanted nothing more than to cut Lin Feng into 1,000 pieces to vent his anger. Lin Feng said, "There will never be a lack of self-righteous idiots in this world." Who are you calling an idiot? Wu Xing, Li Gang, and the other mercenaries were furious, and they all glared at Lin Feng. Lin Feng pursed his lips and said, "Do you really think you're a match for me? Let me tell you, if it wasn't for South Jaitin's appearance in the market, all of you would have already become corpses. You actually dare to run in front of this young master to seek death? Today, I don't mind fulfilling your wishes." Ha 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 ha. Wu Xing, Li Gang, and the other mercenaries all started laughing. It was as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world. Wu Xing looked at Lin Feng with disdain and said, "Kid, I've never seen someone as reckless as you. Go, chop this kid into mincemeat." Yes, after receiving the order, more than 10 mercenaries pulled out their long swords and rushed towards Lin Feng, all of them with sinister smiles. These mercenaries were ruthless people who killed without batting an eyelid. To them, chopping Lin Feng into pieces was a simple matter. These mercenaries were different from Li Gang's subordinates. Li Gang's subordinates were the most ordinary mercenaries. The mercenaries led by Wu Xing were the elites of the Tian Sha mercenary group, their strength outstanding. Chapter 1387. Wu Xing thought that the arrows could cause damage to Lin Feng. He had underestimated Lin Feng's strength. Facing the incoming arrows, Lin Feng took a step forward and a terrifying force was emitted from his body. The power of the force enveloped a radius of 10 meters around Lin Feng. When the densely packed arrows shot towards him, all the arrows were suspended in midair. Seeing this, many people were almost scared to death. How is this possible? Wu Xing cried out in disbelief. His body was trembling violently. Wu Xing was an experienced and knowledgeable person, but this was the first time he had seen such a situation. How were the arrows suspended in midair? This was too strange and bizarre. Lin Feng waved his right hand. All the arrows suspended in midair changed direction and shot towards the people of the Heaven Fiend mercenary group. Quick dodge! Many people cried out in fear. They fled in all directions. Some people took out their weapons in an attempt to cut down the arrows that were shot at them. But the power of the arrows was too great. When the weapons in the hands of the mercenaries hit the arrows, their weapons were broken by the power of the arrows. But the direction of the arrows did not change at all. As for those who were trying to escape, they were not able to avoid the attack of the arrows. Pooh, pooh, pooh. Sounds of flesh being pierced could be heard. One by one, the people of the Heaven Fiend mercenary group were killed by the arrows. Even Li Gang and Wu Xing were not spared. Li Gang's head was pierced, leaving a bloody hole. Wu Xing's chest was pierced by an arrow, and his body was sent flying far away. Finally, Wu Xing was nailed to a big tree. When he died, his eyes were wide open. It was obvious that he died with his eyes wide open. Perhaps he still could not believe that he had died just like that. Lin Feng collected all the gold coins on these people and left. After returning to the mountain village, Lin Feng sorted out the gold coins on Wu Xing and the others. These people had a total of 300,000 gold coins on them. Sure enough, killing and robbing is the shortcut to riches. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. Lin Feng handed over the 500 gold coins from selling the beast skins to the village chief. When had the village chief ever seen such a large sum of money? After seeing it, his body trembled violently. Why don't we buy a big house in Nanjing town and move the villagers there? We can invest in a few shops or restaurants with the remaining money. Lin Feng said. The village chief's eyes lit up slightly. If they could leave this place and live in Nanjing town, it would be like going from hell to heaven. Living in Nanjing town was something that they wouldn't even dare to dream of in the past. But now, with 500 gold coins, everything could become a reality. I'll ask around in Nanjing town to see if there are any large villas for sale, the village chief said. Lin Feng nodded. Her body was trembling, and she was clearly very nervous. Lin Feng hurriedly grabbed Ying, who was going crazy, and said, "Girl, I don't want anything from you. You're a good girl, and you'll have your own life in the future. I'll pretend that nothing happened just now. Go back and sleep." "Brother, I know what I'm doing. I don't regret it." Ying took off her clothes as she spoke, revealing her youthful and beautiful body to Lin Feng. "Brother, can you kiss me?" Ying asked in a trembling voice. Lin Feng helped Ying put on her clothes and said, "Silly girl, you're still young. You'll know in the future that you'll regret what you did today." Lin Feng patted Ying's head, then jumped off the bed and walked outside. He took a deep breath, and Ying's delicate body involuntarily appeared in his mind. What a beast. I actually had such thoughts about a 16-year-old girl. Lin Feng cursed himself. However, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. Ying wasn't very old, but she was pure and cute. Her body was as delicate as a lily that had just bloomed. She was naturally very attractive to men. Mature women had the charm of mature women. Young girls had their own charm as well. However, Lin Feng was destined to be a passerby in this place. He didn't want to provoke any woman. Right now, Lin Feng just wanted to quickly recover his strength and find a way to return to Tianwu continent. Now that the demons had invaded, even though he had killed vast domains demon sovereign and Mosei Tianzuan, there were still a dozen or so demon sovereigns in the Central Plains. Lin Feng was very worried about Tianwu continent's situation. I wonder where the magic lotus went? Lin Feng couldn't help but feel that it was a pity. When he had chased after the magic lotus, he hadn't been able to catch it. It seemed that the demon lord and the magic lotus were not fated to be together. Lin Feng immediately rushed into the depths of the forest. He wanted to hunt beasts and eat their meat to recover. 250 kilometers away, there was a place where the surrounding rivers converged, forming a main river. This main river was 3,000 meters long and had huge waves. Beasts ran amok in it. In the depths of the river, there was a cave. This cave was called the Black Flood Dragon Cave. Inside the Black Flood Dragon Cave lived a black flood dragon that had lived for 1,700 years. It was a famous expert within a few thousand kilometers. The Black Flood Dragon ruled over the area and called himself the Black Flood Dragon Sage. The beasts in the surrounding rivers all called the Black Flood Dragon King. Inside the Black Flood Dragon Cave, there were many people drinking and chatting. The Black Flood Dragon had transformed into a burly man, and below him were a dozen monsters. These monsters had humanoid bodies, but some of them had crocodile-like heads. Some of them had crab-like heads. The monsters all looked different, but they all had one thing in common. They were all extremely ugly. These people were the overlords of the nearby rivers, but their cultivations weren't as profound as the Black Flood Dragons, so they couldn't completely transform into humans. In the main hall, there were dozens of beautiful women dancing. They were all human women who had been forcefully captured by the Black Flood Dragon and brought into the cave. "Why don't I see the snake demon?" the Black Flood Dragon Sage asked. At that moment, the crocodile-like monster said, reporting to the great sage, "I heard that the snake demon fought with someone and was killed. Then, the cave was stolen." "Oh, there's such a thing? You're really courting death. How dare you kill the people of the Black Flood Dragon Sage?" The Black Flood Dragon's eyes flashed with killing intent, and the temperature in the main hall suddenly dropped. The dozens of dancers trembled in fear. "Bitches, did I say you stop? Come here." The Black Flood Dragon grabbed one of the beautiful women, and she flew over. The Black Flood Dragon pressed down on her body, and her clothes were torn apart. The dancer didn't dare struggle, and she let the Black Flood Dragon do whatever it wanted. After the Black Flood Dragon was done, It opened its bloody mouth and swallowed the woman's head. When the other dancers saw this, their faces turned as white as paper. The great sage really knows how to enjoy himself. The group of monsters laughed. "Ha, these dancers are yours. Enjoy them to your heart's content," said the black flood dragon sinisterly. "Thank you, great sage." The group of monsters was overjoyed. They thanked the black flood dragon sage and rushed towards the terrified and helpless women. Chapter 1389. Roar. The roar resounded through the forest. A gigantic creature that was 20 meters tall was moving towards Lin Feng with its gigantic claws. Slash. Lin Feng stepped forward and chopped down with his right hand. Destructive blade light condensed and instantly cut the monster in half. This monster was far more powerful than the overlord monster snake that Lin Feng had killed before. But now that Lin Feng could use his spiritual power, killing these monsters was something he could do with a snap of his fingers. That was the 9th ferocious beast Lin Feng had killed. He made a bonfire in the forest and cleaned up the corpses. Then he put them on the bonfire and roasted them. Soon, the smell of meat filled the air. Lin Feng started eating in big mouthfuls. After eating the monster, Lin Feng's body began to slowly recover. After eating 9 monsters in a row, Lin Feng's body recovered to 70% of its peak. However, the more he recovered, the more difficult it became. My body recovered to 70%. It should be comparable to the vast domain's demon venerable's body. Lin Feng sensed his body and smiled. The vast domain's demon venerable was a hollow god. Although Lin Feng's body had only recovered to 70%, he could now fight against gods and demons. If he could recover to 100%, his body would definitely improve greatly and surpass ordinary gods and demons. The most important thing was that Lin Feng's cultivation was only in the life and death realm. As his cultivation increased, Lin Feng's body would become stronger and stronger. My spiritual power was suppressed, and my divine sense was suppressed. My cultivation went from nothing to nothing. Now that I can use my spiritual power again, I might be able to control my divine sense again. This is a process of going from nothing to something. Maybe this is reincarnation. When my spiritual power and divine sense are fully recovered, I should be able to break through to the reincarnation realm. Lin Feng suddenly had an epiphany. In order to break through to the rebirth realm, one needed to have a deep understanding of the word rebirth. Everyone had a different understanding of rebirth, and Lin Feng's understanding was to go from something to nothing, and then from nothing to something. This was a complete cycle. The next day, Lin Feng found a stream. He took a bath here and cleaned up his clothes. After drying his clothes with his transcendence energy, he put them back on and became a handsome and confident young master. "Look, there's a stream." Excited voices came from afar as more than a dozen people rushed over. There were both men and women among these people. However, many of them were dirty, and some of them had bloodstains on their bodies. It was obvious that they had experienced a battle in the forest. Moreover, these people were obviously very thirsty. They were all lying by the stream and drinking the water. "It's them." When Lin Feng saw this group of people, he was slightly surprised. He recognized 2 women in this group. It was the gentle woman who wanted to buy the blood rain stone from him, and the sexy woman. After these people drank enough water, they took out their water sacks and filled them up. "Hey, it's you." At that moment, the group saw Lin Feng standing in the distance. They were very surprised. They naturally had some impression of Lin Feng. After all, they had seen him before. Lin Feng nodded. He didn't want to talk to these people and walked away. That guy is actually so arrogant. When a young cultivator saw Lin Feng turn around and leave, he immediately felt that he was being looked down upon. His expression became very unsightly. They were all geniuses from Blackrock City. In Blackrock City, which one of them wasn't a high and mighty person? Now that they were being looked down upon in the wilderness, they naturally felt very sullen. "Junior brother, don't say anything." This guy went into the forest alone and came out unscathed. He must have some tricks up his sleeve. "We can't afford to offend someone like him," said the leader. The young cultivator nodded and said, "Junior brother, I was too impulsive just now." When the leader saw that Lin Feng was already far away, he quickly chased after him. He smiled and said, I'm the eldest disciple of Blackrock City's Blackrock sect, Emo Xiaoyu. May I know your name? Blackrock City's people? Lin Feng frowned slightly. Emo Xiaoyu was probably the strongest cultivator in that group because Lin Feng could faintly sense that Emo Xiaoyu's strength was flowing in his body. What surprised Lin Feng was that Emo Xiaoyu's magic energy wasn't stored in his dantian. Instead, it flowed through his limbs and bones like blood. This world was different from Lin Feng's martial heaven continent. The cultivators of this world started by refining qi, and once they produced magic energy, they didn't store it in their dantian. Lin Feng guessed that it had something to do with their cultivation techniques. The cultivation techniques of the martial heaven continent required one to open their dantian and then expand it. Some people's dantian was like a pond, some like a lake, and some like an ocean. However, no matter how big or small the dantian was, it was still a place to store magic energy. This world's magic energy was scattered throughout the limbs and bones. Of course, each cultivation technique had its own unique aspects. Lin Feng wouldn't look down on this world's cultivation techniques just because his own cultivation technique was different from this world's. Although he hadn't encountered many experts yet, this world definitely had its own peak experts. Lin Feng, haha, so it's Brother Lin. Nice to meet you. Brother Lin, you entered the forest alone to gain experience. You're truly amazing, said Emo Xiaoyu. You flatter me, replied Lin Feng politely. Then, he changed the topic and asked, Brother Emo, may I know why you called me? Brother Lin's cultivation is extraordinary. We want to invite you to a certain place to pick a spirit fruit. If you can pick it, we'll definitely give you a share. Spirit fruit? What kind of spirit fruit is that? Asked Lin Feng. Dao Law fruit. Brother Lin, have you heard of such a fruit? Asked Emo Xiaoyu. Never heard of it. Lin Feng shook his head and asked, What's the use of the Dao Law fruit? The Dao Law fruit is the main ingredient for refining Dao Law pills. Consuming a Dao Law pill can increase a cultivator's chances of condensing magic energy by 10%. It's a peerless spirit treasure, said Emo Xiaoyu. Lin Feng sighed. Increasing one's chances of condensing magic energy by 10% was equivalent to a low-grade mystic class pill. How could it be called a peerless spirit treasure? However, considering the scarcity of resources in this world, the Dao Law fruit and Dao Law pills might be trash in Lin Feng's eyes, but in the eyes of the people in this world, they were treasures worth risking their lives for. Of course, a low-grade spirit fruit like the Dao Law fruit was not completely useless to Lin Feng. After refining it, it could at least increase his magic energy. Although the increase was limited, it was still better than nothing. What really interested Lin Feng was the ferocious beast guarding the Dao Law fruit. A spirit fruit like the Dao Law fruit would definitely be guarded by powerful ferocious beasts in this world where natural treasures were scarce. This was also why Emo Xiaoyu had invited him. Obviously, he wanted to drag him along to deal with the ferocious beasts guarding the fruit. Lin Feng needed to eat meat to recover. The stronger the ferocious beast, the more beneficial it would be for his recovery. Thus, he nodded and said, Since that's the case, I'll go with you. Emo Xiaoyu was overjoyed and said, With Brother Lin joining us, we'll be like a tiger that has grown wings. Our chances of successfully obtaining the Dao Law fruit will greatly increase. Chapter 1390. Emo Xiaoyu introduced Lin Feng to his junior brothers and sisters. Lin Feng did not pay much attention to most of them, but he mainly paid attention to the gentle and moving woman and the hot woman. The gentle woman was called Murong Chaner. The hot woman was called Hong Xiao Qiao. However, these two women did not seem to get along well. As for why, Lin Feng was not interested in knowing. After a simple exchange, Lin Feng found out that these people had been in the ancient forest for more than 2 months. They had been looking for information about the Dao fruit, and after spending more than 2 months, they had finally found a clue. The Dao fruit was located in the northwest of the ancient forest. There was a volcano there, and the Dao fruit grew next to the volcano. The group of people walked in the direction of the volcano. At night, they were attacked by more than 10 skeletal lizards. After a fierce battle, they killed 2 giant skeletal lizards, but 3 people were also injured. This was the danger in the depths of the ancient forest. If they were not careful, they could die here. Everyone scattered to rest. The hot and enchanting Hong Xiao came to Lin Feng's side. She looked at Lin Feng with interest and said, "You seem to be quite skilled. Are you also a disciple of a sect? You shouldn't be a disciple of a sect in Blackrock City, right? Although I don't know all the sect disciples in Blackrock City, I should have heard of someone of your age who is so powerful." Lin Feng looked at Hong Xiao. He could smell an alluring fragrance coming from her body. This woman had fiery red lips and a charming and enchanting appearance that could arouse a man's most primal desires. Of course, Lin Feng had seen many beautiful women, so his self-control was very strong. He smiled at Hong Xiao and said, "It's not a good habit to casually ask about a man's background. It's very easy to fall into a trap." Hong Xiao smiled and said, "Is that so? Then tell me about your background and see if I'll fall into a trap." As she spoke, she deliberately bent her body slightly. Lin Feng saw a snow-white scenery. "If I told you that I'm the city lord of Blackrock City, would you believe me?" Xiao rolled her eyes at Lin Feng and spoke a few words with him. She realized that she couldn't get any useful information from Lin Feng, so she left Lin Feng's resting place and returned to her sect. "Senior Sister Hong, what is that brat's identity? Have you found out?" someone asked. Hong Qiao replied, "He's very tight-lipped. He didn't reveal any useful information." 3 days later, everyone arrived at the volcano. A heat wave swept across. This place was obviously an active volcano. From afar, one could see the fiery red glow of the volcano's crater illuminating the world. The flames burned fiercely. Many people were sweating profusely from afar. "Everyone, be careful," Emo Xiaoyu reminded. "With senior brother here, what are we afraid of?" Many people laughed. They were very confident in Emo Xiaoyu's strength. The group walked deeper into the volcano. When they were about to reach the peak, they saw a small fiery red tree. There were more than 10 fruits growing on the tree. "Dao fruit!" Immediately, many people cried out in surprise. They stared unblinkingly at the fiery red tree. They had come for the Dao fruit. Now that they saw the fruit, they were very excited. Roar! Suddenly, a roar came from the world of lava. Following that, a huge creature flew out. The huge creature was about 5 meters long and 4 meters tall. Its body was covered in dense fiery red scales, and it had a pair of huge wings. The beast's head looked like a dragon's, but its eyes and nose resembled a lion's. It was a winged dragon lion. It was an extremely terrifying beast. Heavens, why is there such a beast? Let's get out of here. When he saw the winged dragon lion, Emo Xiaoyu's face turned as pale as a sheet. The winged dragon lion was a beast king. It was far stronger than an overlord-level beast. Even cultivators who had mastered magic were no match for the winged dragon lion. The rest of the people also looked terrified. They turned and ran down the mountain. Roar! However, the winged dragon lion roared, and a terrifying beast aura spread out, enveloping the world. That terrifying aura enveloped everyone in an instant. Hong Xiao, Morong Chan and the others seemed to be frozen in place. They couldn't move at all. At this time, the winged dragon lion flew over. This kind of beast loved to eat humans. Now that so many people had arrived, the beast became wild and wanted to have a good meal. "Die, beast!" Emo Xiaoyu gritted his teeth and took out a sword. With the sword in hand, he soared into the sky and attacked the winged dragon lion. Emo Xiaoyu was a good person. He had a chance to escape, but he chose to fight the winged dragon lion. Obviously, he wanted to save his juniors. It was not without reason that Hong Xiao, Morong Chan and the others respected Emo Xiaoyu. However, Emo Xiaoyu was no match for the winged dragon lion. The winged dragon lion waved its huge claws and sent Emo Xiaoyu flying. "Senior brother!" Many people cried out in alarm when they saw Emo Xiaoyu being sent flying by the winged dragon lion. They looked at Emo Xiaoyu worriedly. Wah! Emo Xiaoyu spat out a mouthful of blood. His body fell from the sky into the forest. His face was as white as paper, and he could not move. As for the double-winged dragon lion, it pounced towards the group of people in the forest. This ferocious beast was about to enjoy its meal. "We're dead," Seeing the winged dragon lion pouncing on them, everyone's face was filled with despair. Suddenly, at that moment, they saw Lin Feng walk towards the dual-winged Draco lion. The winged dragon lion also saw Lin Feng. Its ferocious eyes suddenly flashed with contempt. In the eyes of the winged dragon lion, these humans in front of it were as weak as ants. The winged dragon lion swung its huge claws at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's black hair danced in the wind. He pointed to the sky and stomped on the ground. His right hand drew a line in the air. A dazzling sword ray condensed and slashed at the winged dragon lion. Pooh! The winged dragon lion did not even have the ability to resist. It was cut in half by Lin Feng's attack. Heavens! How is this possible? A winged dragon lion at the level of a beast king was killed by him in a single move. Who is he? What is his cultivation level? Everyone's eyes turned pale as they stared at the handsome man in white robes standing in the middle of the forest. Everyone's heart was deeply shaken. Chapter 1391. Lin Feng waved his hand and took out 10 Dharma fruits. He looked at Emo Xiaoyu and the others and said, "I'll take 10 Dharma fruits. There are 6 left, enough for you to concoct a few batches of pills. We can't stay here for long, so you should leave quickly." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng soared into the sky and disappeared in the blink of an eye. It was only then that they came back to their senses. "Who the hell is he? He's like a god," one of the cultivators said in shock. "He's too powerful. I didn't expect that the person who came with us would be such a terrifying person. It's a pity that we didn't establish a friendship with him before. How could someone like him be friends with us? He probably just felt bored, so he came with us. If it wasn't for him this time, we would have been dead." Many people started to talk about it all at once. Who is that guy? Could he really be the city lord of Blackrock City? Hong Xiaoqiao couldn't help but bite her lips. She thought about how Lin Feng had said that he was the city lord of Blackrock City. Now, she actually believed it. She wanted to go back and ask around to see if the mysterious city lord of Blackrock City was Lin Feng. Morong Chan looked in the direction where Lin Feng had left, and her beautiful eyes revealed a thoughtful look. "Pick the Dharma fruits. We'll leave this place." A disciple helped Emo Xiaoyu up and quickly ordered, "Yes, senior brother." Immediately, a disciple answered and went to pick the Dharma fruits. At this time, Lin Feng had already arrived at a small stream. He cut open the belly of the winged dragon lion and cleaned it. He then started a bonfire, sprinkled some prepared seasonings, and started roasting the lion. After enjoying the roasted lion, Lin Feng's body had recovered to about 80% of its peak. Lin Feng was delighted. Following which, Lin Feng ate another 10 Dao Dharma fruits. These Dao Dharma fruits were extremely sour and did not taste very good. It didn't contain much spiritual energy. If it was back in the martial heaven continent, Lin Feng wouldn't have even glanced at it. But in this place, due to the extreme scarcity of materials, this Dao Dharma fruit was a rare treasure. After Lin Feng ate the Dao Dharma fruit, he started to refine the energy contained within it. These energies were all converted into pure magic power. Now, Lin Feng would attack the laws that suppressed his Dan Si every day. Now, more and more laws were being torn apart by Lin Feng, and he could use more and more magic power. "I've recovered quite a bit of my strength, so it's time to leave. I'll go back and see if the villagers have settled down, then I'll go to Blackrock City." Lin Feng could not help but ponder. If he continued to stay here, it would be very difficult for him to recover his strength, so Lin Feng decided to go to Blackrock City. Lin Feng wanted to find out what this world was like in Blackrock City. At the same time, Lin Feng hoped to buy some natural treasures in Blackrock City. He could use these natural treasures to break the laws that suppressed his Dan Si as soon as possible. When Lin Feng returned to the mountain village, the terrifying black flood dragon had already come out of the cave and was rushing towards the demon snake's cave. The demon snake's death was a provocation to the black flood dragon. Therefore, the black flood dragon was very angry. Endless black fog engulfed heaven and earth. After flying for half a day, the black flood dragon finally arrived at the demon snake's cave. "Lord Sage, the demon snake's cave is below," an overlord-level beast said. "Go down and see if the human cultivator who killed the demon snake is cultivating inside." The black flood dragon said in a deep voice. Yes. Immediately, an overlord-level beast dived into the water. Not long after, the overlord-level beast flew out and reported to the black flood dragon, Lord Sage, the human cultivator is not inside. It seems that he has left. He has left? The black flood dragon roared furiously. That despicable human killed one of my trusted subordinates, and now he's escaped. How infuriating. The black flood dragon furiously slapped a mountain that was 3,000 meters tall in the distance. Bang! The entire mountain was instantly reduced to fine powder. The other overlord-level beasts didn't dare say anything, afraid of angering the black flood dragon. After destroying the mountain, the black flood dragon seemed to be in a better mood. It said, that human is lucky. He has escaped. Let's go. The black fog churned as it flew into the distance. When it passed by a mountain village, the black flood dragon saw a few beautiful women in the village, and a lustful look appeared on its face. The black flood dragon was perverted and cruel. It often went around seizing beautiful human women for its sexual pleasure. After the black flood dragon took those women, their fates were extremely tragic. After a short while, the black flood dragon would get tired of them and eat them all. Before it came out, the dozens of beautiful human women in the cave were all eaten by the black flood dragon and the others. Now that the black flood dragon saw the beautiful human women in the mountain village, it immediately wanted to take them away. Great Sage, we will go and find some beautiful women for you. Please return to the cave and wait. Soon, you will be able to enjoy the taste of these beautiful human women, said one of the overlords. The black flood dragon looked at the black flood dragon. I like virgins the most. I like to see their painful expressions and screams when they are raped for the first time. Yes, sir. We will definitely find virgins for you, said the overlords hurriedly. Very good. If you do well, you will be heavily rewarded when you return. The black flood dragon nodded and soared into the sky, flying in the direction of the cave. Brothers, let's spread out. Each of you will be responsible for finding beautiful women within a 50-mile radius, said one of the overlords with a hideous smile. After that, the other overlords spread out to search for beautiful women for the black flood dragon. Very quickly, the mountain villages were visited by these overlord-class beasts, and many beautiful women were captured by these overlord-class beasts. Er's mountain village was not spared either. During this period of time, Nanjing Town's property had already been bought, and the villagers were about to move there. However, at this time, the crocodile beast came to visit. The crocodile beast asked the village chief to call everyone out. How could the village chief dare to disobey? The crocodile beasts were extremely cruel. If anyone dared to disobey their orders, they would be brutally killed. Very quickly, more than 1,000 people in the village were called out. Everyone stood in front of the village, trembling as they looked at the crocodile beast. Haha, this village is not bad. There are actually 3 beautiful women here. Our great sage has taken a fancy to you. This is your fortune from your previous lives. Now, follow me to the black flood dragon's cave and serve the great sage. The crocodile-headed ferocious beast used its magic power to sweep and the other 2 extremely beautiful girls into the air. Sister, let go of my sister. Xiao Shun's eyes immediately turned red. The crocodile beast waved its hand and slapped Xiao Shun dozens of meters away. Xiao Shun. Screamed in agony as tears streamed down her face. However, she could not struggle, and she could not check on Xiao Shun's condition. The crocodile beast grabbed the 3 of them and flew away, disappearing into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Chapter 1392. When Lin Feng returned from the depths of the forest, he realized that something was wrong. On his way back, he had seen many villages where people had died tragically. It was obvious that the village chiefs had all been attacked. If it had only been a few villages, Lin Feng wouldn't have been so surprised. But now, so many village chiefs had been attacked. Lin Feng felt that something was wrong. When he returned to the village, he saw dozens of people lying on the ground in front of the village. The villagers were all sobbing softly. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. He descended from the sky and asked, "What happened?" When he saw Lin Feng return, the village chief hurriedly said, "It's a monster." That monster captured Ing, and the others. It said that it was going to bring them to the Black Flood Dragon Cavern for the sage to enjoy. Danian, Xiaoshan, and the others tried to stop it, but they were attacked by the monster. I'm afraid that they won't be able to survive. Lin Feng looked gloomy as he squatted down to check on Xiaoshan, Zhang Danian, and the others. He discovered that they had all suffered serious injuries. Furthermore, their injuries had already reached their internal organs. To ordinary people, such injuries were almost impossible to survive. However, Lin Feng was a powerful cultivator, so he had ways to help them. Lin Feng's body surged with powerful magic energy, which continuously flowed into the bodies of Xiaoshan, Zhang Danian, and the others. His magic energy automatically repaired their damaged internal organs. Xiaoshan, Zhang Danian, and the others' qi began to become stronger. Of course, not everyone had been saved. More than 10 villagers had died before Lin Feng had arrived. Lin Feng naturally had no way to save them. Xiaoshan, Uncle Zhang, and the others are fine now. Take care of them. I'll go look for Ing and the others. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng soared into the sky and flew in the direction of the river. Lin Feng had already lived in this area for a few months, so he naturally knew some of the powerful beasts in this area. He had also heard of the Black Flood Dragon Sage. It was said that he was a Black Flood Dragon that had cultivated his Tao and occupied a region. The Black Flood Dragon Saint's cultivation was unfathomable. Therefore, even Nanzhong Town wouldn't make an enemy out of the Black Flood Dragon Sage. Furthermore, they had to pay tribute to the Black Flood Dragon Sage every year. Many people in Nanzhong Town knew about this matter. Furthermore, many people in Nanzhong Town were discussing about the Black Flood Dragon Sage. Lin Feng had also heard about the Black Flood Dragon Sage from Nanzhong Town. The Black Flood Dragon Sage hadn't offended Lin Feng previously. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't have any interactions with the Black Flood Dragon Sage. Now that the Black Flood Dragon Sage had captured Ing, and the others, it had completely infuriated Lin Feng. The place where the rivers converge is where the Black Flood Dragon Saint's cave is located. Lin Feng couldn't help but recall the information he had obtained from Nanzhong Town. Inside the Black Flood Dragon Cave, one by one, the Overlord beasts returned, and each of them brought back dozens of beauties. These beauties were all thrown into the main hall by them. The Black Flood Dragon had transformed into a middle-aged man and was currently drinking wine. When he saw the beauties, his eyes shone with a lustful light. "Lord, are you satisfied with these beauties?" The group of Overlord beasts bowed and asked. The Black Flood Dragon Sage laughed loudly. "Ha ha ha ha, not bad. These beauties are not bad. I like them very much. Today, I will have 100 beauties in a day." As soon as he finished speaking, the Black Flood Dragon Sage walked towards the group of human women. Everyone looked at the Black Flood Dragon Sage in fear. Everyone huddled together, trembling in fear. Their faces were filled with despair. "Little beauties, come." The Black Flood Dragon Sage grabbed one of the beauties with its large hand. With a ripping sound, the beauty's clothes were torn to shreds. Her youthful and beautiful body was instantly exposed in front of the Black Flood Dragon Sage. "No, no, let me go." The beauty struggled and begged. The more she struggled and begged, the more the Black Flood Dragon Sage felt excited. Just as the Black Flood Dragon Sage was about to force himself on the beauty, suddenly, a cold shout came from outside the cave. "Where is the Black Flood Dragon Sage? Get out here and die." "Where is the Black Flood Dragon Sage? Get out here and die." It's Big Brother's voice. After hearing that voice, the eyes of the originally trembling and pale Ing brightened slightly. In her eyes, Lin Feng was like a god. There was nothing he couldn't do. "Who dares to behave atrociously in my cave?" The Black Flood Dragon Sage was enraged when he heard the voice outside. He pushed the beauty whose clothes he had torn to the side and said, "Little ones, come with me. Let's see who dares to act so recklessly." As soon as he finished speaking, the black fog churned and wrapped around a dozen Overlord beasts before it rushed out of the cave. It didn't take long for it to fly out. Lin Feng stood in the air and looked at the black fog with a cold expression. The Black Flood Dragon Sage looked at Lin Feng sinisterly and said, "Despicable human brat, You actually dare to provoke me? Have you thought about how you want to die? Black Flood Dragon Sage, you have cultivated a little and should have been able to benefit the world. But now, you have willfully killed the innocent and harmed the common people. Today, I will take your dog life. Lin Feng looked indifferent. Ha 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 ha. The Black Flood Dragon Sage laughed wantonly. He looked at Lin Feng with disdain and said, "You despicable human ant dares to say that you want to take my life? What a joke. Men, capture this brat for me. I want to cut off his flesh piece by piece and let him have a taste of death by 1,000 cuts." Yes, Lord Sage. Immediately, a dozen overlord ferocious beasts threw themselves at Lin Feng. Scram! Lin Feng shouted coldly as he was surrounded by more than a dozen overlord beasts. His voice was like thunder. Wah! The overlord beasts couldn't withstand Lin Feng's shout and were all sent flying. They coughed up mouthfuls of blood and fell to the ground, dead. Their bodies instantly reverted back to their original bodies. The ground was littered with the corpses of alligators, pythons, crabs, and all sorts of other beasts. Brat, you're courting death. The Black Flood Dragon Sage roared when he saw so many of his subordinates being killed. He transformed into a 300-meter-long Black Flood Dragon and charged at Lin Feng. A mere Black Flood Dragon with only 1,700 years of cultivation dares to be impudent in front of me? Lin Feng raised his right hand and slashed out a resplendent sword ray. The sword ray pierced through the sky. It slashed at the Black Flood Dragon Sage. The Black Flood Dragon Sage was enveloped by the sword ray. He immediately felt the terrifying sword ray binding his body, making it difficult for him to move. The Black Flood Dragon Sage was filled with fear. He hadn't expected this human to be so terrifying. The Black Flood Dragon Sage wanted to beg for mercy, but he couldn't say anything. Pooh! His huge flood dragon body was cut in half by the sword ray. Blood rained down. The Black Flood Dragon Sage's corpse fell to the ground and twitched a few times before it stopped moving. It was dead. Chapter 1393. Whoosh! With a flash of light, Lin Feng passed through the restrictive spells and flew into the Black Flood Dragon Cavern. Brother! When saw Lin Feng, she ran over happily. She opened her arms and hugged Lin Feng tightly. She couldn't help but cry. It was obvious that the little girl was frightened. It's okay. Lin Feng rubbed Er's delicate body. Brother Feng. The other two beautiful girls from the village also came out. They looked at with envy. They wanted to be like and lie in Lin Feng's arms to comfort them. But they knew that they and were destined to be different. Lin Feng nodded at them and looked at the other girls. I've already killed the Black Flood Dragon. You're all safe now. I'll send you back. Thank you very much, sir. Everybody looked at Lin Feng with surprise and joy. They thanked Lin Feng profusely. Many people looked at Lin Feng with admiration. Lin Feng was like a god descending from the heavens. He had killed a terrifying monster like the Black Flood Dragon and saved them. Many girls were deeply moved by this. It was said that beautiful girls loved heroes. In any world, everyone followed this principle. If Lin Feng used some tricks, it was possible that he could sleep with 100 girls in a day. But Lin Feng wasn't like the Black Flood Dragon. He naturally wouldn't have any improper thoughts about these girls. Lin Feng saw that one of the beautiful girl's clothes had been torn. He took off his jacket and put it on her. Lin Feng put the Black Flood Dragon and a dozen other ferocious beasts' corpses in the forbidden area of the Black Flood Dragon's cave. Lin Feng planned to deal with them when he came back. He didn't stay in the cave for too long. He used his magic power to send the women out of the Black Flood Dragon cave abode. 3 days later, Lin Feng returned to the Black Flood Dragon cavern. Now that the villagers had moved to live in Nanjing town, Lin Feng was a little relieved. After returning to the Black Flood Dragon cavern, Lin Feng wanted to continue eating meat to recover. The Black Jiao Dragon was a Beast King level existence. Together with the dozen or so Overlord class beasts, Lin Feng felt that his body would be almost fully recovered after eating the Black Jiao Dragon and the dozen or so Overlord class beasts. When Lin Feng came, he even specially brought some wine. He ate meat and drank wine at the same time, feeling incomparably carefree. Lin Feng started a bonfire in the Black Flood Dragon's cavern. First, he placed the black flood dragon on top of the bonfire and started to roast the flood dragon meat. Lin Feng had eaten all kinds of roasted meat, but it was his first time roasting flood dragon meat. He was looking forward to the taste of the flood dragon meat. One day later, the black Jiao dragon and a dozen overlord beasts were all eaten by Lin Feng. Lin Feng's body quickly recovered. As expected, he had recovered to his peak state. Furthermore, Lin Feng felt that there was a hot qi flowing in his body. Lin Feng was startled. Was his body going to transform? Some black filth was expelled from Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng's body shed a layer of old skin. His skin immediately became as tender as a newborn baby's. However, Lin Feng discovered that his body had undergone a great transformation. Originally, Lin Feng's body was roughly equivalent to a divine flame realm expert's body. But now, Lin Feng's body had reached the level of a divine flame realm expert's body. Haha, after my body recovered, it actually transformed. Lin Feng immediately burst into laughter. Reincarnation. Reincarnation. My body is also a kind of reincarnation. From strong to weak, from weak to strong. After a reincarnation, it completes a transformation. Lin Feng smiled. The Black Flood Dragon Cavern clearly had an extremely advanced spiritual energy gathering formation. Lin Feng cultivated bitterly here for a month. Rumble. Rumble. Finally, after a month of bitter cultivation, Lin Feng's Dan-Si rumbled loudly. Powerful dermic powers swept through the world. The worldly laws that had been suppressing Lin Feng's Dan-Si were completely destroyed by Lin Feng. The dermic powers in Lin Feng's Dan-Si were completely restored. Moreover, the dermic powers in his body began to increase crazily. I'm about to break through. Lin Feng was shocked. Dermic powers went from nothing to nothing, and from nothing to something. This was also a reincarnation cycle. Just like the physical body's reincarnation cycle. After one reincarnation cycle, the physical body would reach the level of a divine flame realm expert. Lin Feng guessed that one reincarnation cycle of dermic powers meant that he was about to break through to the rebirth realm. In the sky, dark clouds roiled. An ocean of lightning appeared. Lin Feng stepped out and stood in the void, allowing the lightning tribulation to strike him. He activated the Great Calamity Art. Billions of lightning tribulation struck him. However, it couldn't hurt Lin Feng at all. The Great Calamity Art was simply too powerful. Can the power of the lightning tribulation help me break the worldly laws that are suppressing my divine will? Suddenly, Lin Feng looked at the lightning tribulation in the sky. This was an extremely bold idea. The soul was weak, and the soul was most afraid of lightning. Therefore, when lightning struck, the Een spirits and ghosts didn't dare to come out because they were afraid of being struck to death by the lightning. Lin Feng planned to guide the power of the lightning tribulation into his mind to break the worldly laws that were suppressing his divine will. Anyone who knew about this would think that Lin Feng was crazy. This was simply too dangerous. If he wasn't careful, Lin Feng's divine will might shatter, and he would die tragically. However, Lin Feng wasn't taking this risk without consideration. The worldly laws that were suppressing his divine will were 10 times stronger than the worldly laws that were suppressing his Dan-Si. It was too difficult to break such a powerful worldly law, and using the power of the lightning tribulation to tear it apart was highly probable. Of course, Lin Feng would control the power of the lightning tribulation. As long as the power of the lightning tribulation tore a hole in the worldly laws, he would immediately stop guiding the power of the lightning tribulation into his mind. This way, he could prevent his soul from being destroyed by the power of the lightning tribulation. Thinking of this, Lin Feng no longer hesitated. Under his guidance, the power of the lightning tribulation entered his mind and began to attack the worldly laws that were suppressing Lin Feng's divine will. Bang, bang, bang. They collided again and again. Every collision was powerful and heavy, and the sound was so loud that it shook the heavens and earth. After 72 consecutive collisions, a soft sound was heard. The worldly laws that were suppressing Lin Feng's divine will were instantly torn apart, and the surging lightning tribulation was about to enter the worldly laws from this gap and destroy Lin Feng's soul. However, Lin Feng had long been prepared. He took out the primal chaos ancient lamp and shattered the lightning tribulation in his mind. At the same time, he stopped guiding the lightning tribulation. This way, Lin Feng's soul was finally safe. Haha, the worldly laws that were suppressing my divine will have been torn apart. Soon, my divine will be completely restored and complete a samsara. At that time, my spiritual force will also undergo an astonishing transformation. Lin Feng revealed a smile. Boom, boom, boom. In the sky, one lightning tribulation after another bombarded Lin Feng. All kinds of terrifying lightning tribulation struck his body. However, Lin Feng was safe and sound. Other cultivators feared the Kulpa thunder, but to Lin Feng, it was a great source of energy. After 279 lightning tribulation, Lin Feng finally completed his transformation. His cultivation had broken through from the life and death realm to the rebirth realm. Chapter 1394. Lin Feng came to Nanjing town mainly because he wanted to visit Xiaoshan, and the others before he left. When he arrived at Nanjing town, he bumped into a caravan from the Nan family. At this moment, the steward reported, "Master, I saw Lin Feng and Lin Gongzi. Would you like to greet them?" "What Lin Gongzi? He's just a wanderer with no roots." Nan Monair curled her lips. South Jaitin couldn't help but glare at his daughter. He originally wanted to marry Nan Monair to Lin Feng, but seeing that Nan Monair was unwilling, he could only give up. South Jaitin had always admired Lin Feng, and he always felt that Lin Feng had a very unique temperament. This temperament made South Jaitin feel that Lin Feng might have great achievements in the future, but unfortunately, Nan Monair wouldn't listen to a single word he said. South Jaitin got off the carriage, followed by Sunny Nam. "Little brother, where are you going?" South Jaitin came to Lin Feng's side and asked with a smile. Lin Feng replied, "I'm going to visit a few friends and stay for a few days before going on a long journey." "Seeing that Lord Nan is ready, are you going on a long journey?" South Jaitin smiled and said, "Nanjing town is jointly managed by my Nan family and the Zhang family. The mayor changes every 5 years, and my term ends in a month. Since I'm free now, I'm planning to accompany Qi to Blackrock City and stay there for a while." South Jaitin's family wasn't a big family, but they were still in charge of a town, so they could be considered a local tycoon. Even though his family wasn't very powerful, they were very rich, so buying property in Blackrock City wasn't a problem. "Lin Gongzi." Sunny Nam walked over and bowed slightly to Lin Feng. Lin Feng also cupped his fists towards Sunny Nam in return. South Jaitin sighed as he said, "After this farewell, I'm afraid that we won't be able to see each other again. I've prepared some travel expenses, and we'll be able to use them on the way." "Lin Gongzi, Master prepared this for you." The butler handed a black bag to Lin Feng. Lin Feng could now use his divine sense. As for his divine will, he could communicate with the storage ring. Now, he did not lack anything. However, he did not reject South Jaitin's kindness. Lin Feng could feel South Jaitin's goodwill. After accepting the money, South Jaitin would feel more at ease. "Thank you, Sir Nan." Lin Feng expressed his thanks. "Little brother, you don't have to be too polite. Be careful when you're outside," South Jaitin said. Lin Feng nodded. After that, the two sides parted ways. South Jaitin and Sunny Nam got on the carriage, and then the Nan family's convoy left. Lin Feng opened the bag and found that there were 200 gold leaves inside. The gold leaves were made of the highest quality pure gold. 1 gold leaf was equivalent to 100 gold coins, and 200 gold leaves were equivalent to 20,000 gold coins. In this world, 20,000 gold coins was a large sum of money. After Lin Feng accepted these things, he went to the mansion that he had bought in the mountain village. The mansion occupied an area of more than 50 mu, and it was more than enough to accommodate more than 1,000 people in the mountain village. After Lin Feng arrived, everyone came out, and everyone was brimming with happiness. Compared to their previous lives, their current life was simply heaven, and everyone knew that the person who changed their fate was Lin Feng. Therefore, everyone was extremely grateful to Lin Feng. "Uncle Zhang, Xiao Shan, how's your recovery?" Lin Feng looked at Zhang Danian and Xiao Shan in the crowd. "We've recovered almost like a normal person," Zhang Danian said with a smile. "Big brother, I'm full of energy now." Xiao Shan said as he jumped a few times in front of Lin Feng. That's good. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. At night, Lin Feng found the village chief, Zhang Danian, and the other people in charge of the village and gave them 3,000 gold coins as backup funds in case of any unexpected situations in the future. After returning to his residence, Lin Feng took out the storage ring he had taken from the skeleton in the valley. He still didn't know what was inside the storage ring, but Lin Feng's divine sense entered it and found that the items inside had been destroyed. Perhaps too much time had passed, and the items in the storage ring had been destroyed. However, there was a blood-stained spear that hadn't been destroyed. Lin Feng took it out and felt a bone-chilling aura coming from the blood-stained spear. That aura felt like it could plunge people into a boundless purgatory. Lin Feng's divine sense entered the spear and refined it. A stream of information flowed into Lin Feng's mind. The information was very rich, including the origin of the spear and 3 spear techniques. The spear was a supreme treasure refined by an expert called the Great Desolation Sage. It was a giant weapon god. Lin Feng was extremely shocked. The origin of the spear was too great. A giant weapon god was just a step away from becoming an emperor weapon. Lin Feng wielded the emperor weapon, the 9 devils painting, but in reality, his cultivation was limited. It was very difficult for him to activate the true power of the 9 devils painting. Lin Feng was most suitable to activate a divine weapon now. The power released when he activated a top-grade divine weapon was even greater than when he activated an emperor weapon. It was like comparing a divine weapon to a dagger. An emperor weapon would be compared to a giant axe. Naturally, the giant axe would be more powerful. But if you asked a 6 or 7-year-old child to use a dagger and a giant axe to attack someone, which one would be more destructive? Of course, the dagger would be more destructive. No matter how powerful the giant axe was, if a child couldn't even lift it, how could he injure someone? Even if he could lift it, his strength would be exhausted. How could he injure someone? Therefore, most of the time, it wasn't necessarily a powerful artifact that was suitable for him. What was truly suitable for him was an artifact that he could activate. The 3 spear techniques passed down from the Great Desolation Spear were Great Desolation God Shattering Spear, Divine Desolation Demon Splitting Spear, Savage Sun Shattering Spear. The 3 spear techniques each had their own wonders. When used together with the Great Desolation Spear, they were even more powerful. Big Brother Feng, are you asleep? At this time, Ying-er's voice came from outside. Not yet. Lin Feng opened the door and saw Ying-er standing outside. Ying-er was wearing a floral dress that wrapped around her slender and tall figure. She was slim and elegant, pure and lovely. Her pair of pure eyes made people feel pity for her. Perhaps it was because she had just taken a shower, but her hair was still a little wet. With a light sniff, he could even smell the alluring scent of the girl's body. Seeing Lin Feng staring at her without blinking, her couldn't help but feel a little happy. She was also a little shy, and her face was pink. Chapter 1395. It's already late. Why aren't you asleep? Lin Feng asked. Big Brother Feng must be leaving, so I came to have a chat with him, Ying-er said. Lin Feng led Ying-er into his room. As soon as he closed the door, Ying-er rushed over and hugged Lin Feng. Ying-er, what are you doing? Lin Feng asked. Ying-er said, Big Brother Feng, when I was captured by those monsters last time, I thought I was dead for sure and would never see you again. At that time, I thought that if the heavens gave me another chance to live, I wouldn't have any regrets. You wouldn't have any regrets? Lin Feng looked at Ying-er. I know I'm not good enough for you, Big Brother Feng, but I can't help but think of you. Big Brother Feng, I beg you, please take my body, Ying-er said in a trembling voice. Lin Feng said, you still have a long life ahead of you. You have your own life, and I'm just a passerby in your life. I don't care if it lasts forever. I only care about having it once. Big Brother Feng, could it be that you want to see another man take my body? Ying-er said while biting her red lips. Lin Feng was at a loss for words. He had never thought about such a thing. Ying-er was pure and lovely, and she was indeed lovable. However, Lin Feng treated Ying-er more like a little sister. He didn't have any lust for her. Little girl, go back to sleep. Don't let your imagination run wild, Lin Feng said while patting Ying Er's head. I'm not imagining things. I've already thought about it. I want to serve Big Brother Feng, Ying Er said with a red face. Besides, Big Brother Feng, you want to do it too, right? The changes in your body can't lie. Ying Er looked at Lin Feng with her lustful eyes. She could clearly feel the changes in Lin Feng's sensitive parts. After all, she was already 16 years old. Although she had never experienced anything between a man and a woman, she had heard from some aunts what the changes in a man's body represented. Right now, Ying Er's eyes were filled with 2 pools of spring water. It was obvious that she had fallen in love with him. The current Ying Er was completely different from the pure and lovely young girl she used to be. It was hard to imagine that the innocent Ying Er could become so seductive and even a little flirtatious. Little girl, don't regret it in the future. Lin Feng bit Ying Er's earlobe. I don't regret it. Ying Er's voice trembled. Under Hong Luan's tint, Ying Er turned from a young girl to a young married woman. 3 days later, Lin Feng left. Before he left, Lin Feng left Ying Er and Xiao Shan with some cultivation resources and techniques. Lin Feng hoped that they could become stronger and in the future, they could become cultivators and live forever. Perhaps, when they had enough lifespan, in the future, they could still continue their previous relationship. Lin Feng flew towards Blackrock City. 1 day later, Lin Feng saw Blackrock City. It was an incomparably huge city. Lin Feng could see the majestic ancient city from afar. It was like a pitch-black primordial beast lying on the ground, emitting an endless amount of ferocious aura. Bang! In a forest, there was an intense energy fluctuation. Lin Feng, who was flying towards Blackrock City, was alarmed. What a powerful magic fluctuation. Are there cultivators fighting? Lin Feng was slightly surprised. After being in this world for so long, the only cultivator with magic power he had seen was Emo Xiaoyu. However, Emo Xiaoyu's strength was not too strong. However, the qi waves coming from the forest in the distance were quite powerful. Lin Feng roughly estimated that the cultivator who had released those 2 qi waves should be around the Fortune Realm. In this world, cultivators who could condense magic power were extremely rare, let alone Creation Realm cultivators. They were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. After Lin Feng flew over and saw the 2 people fighting, he was quite surprised. The 2 people who were fighting were actually 2 young women. One of the women had 9 foxtails. She was from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. The Nine-Tailed Fox clan had the royal blood of the Fox clan. They were the noblest clan and had powerful innate talents. The woman from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan had an abnormally hot body. Her face was like a masterpiece from the heavens. She was so beautiful that it was suffocating. The men from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan had the most handsome faces in the world. The women from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan had the most beautiful faces in the world. Lin Feng did not find it strange that the woman from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan was so beautiful. What surprised Lin Feng was that the woman fighting the Nine-Tailed Fox clan woman had a peerless beauty that did not belong to the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. The woman was not a human either. She had a pair of snow-white wings, and a pure and holy aura emanated from her body. The Angel Clan. Lin Feng was shocked. It was actually the legendary Angel Clan. When he was on the Sky Martial continent, Lin Feng had heard of the Angel Clan. The Angel Clan was an ancient clan that had existed since the beginning of the world. They had also existed on the Sky Martial continent, but after the Primordial War, they had disappeared from the Sky Martial continent. In fact, it was not only the Angel Clan that had disappeared from the Sky Martial continent. There were many other clans that had disappeared from the Sky Martial continent. So, Lin Feng had heard of many clans, but he had not seen many of them. This was because the Sky Martial continent only had the Human Clan, the Devil Clan, the Sea Clan, the Devil Clan, the Beastman Clan, and the Barbarian Clan. The Fox Spirit and the Female Angel were clearly evenly matched, and the 2 of them fought intensely. The Fox Spirit suddenly said coldly, "Today, this young lady will let you have a taste of this young lady's new supreme technique, the Divine Falling Snow Palm." As soon as she finished speaking, the Fox Spirit stepped forward and slapped out with her slender, jade-like hands. Instantly, snow fluttered, and the world turned into a world of ice and snow. This young lady has also learned a new technique. Take my light of judgment. The female angel snorted and used a powerful supreme technique. Her jade-like hands condensed the light of judgment. This light of judgment was rumored to be the holy light used by the gods to judge all evil in the world. Bang! The two of them collided, and a powerful shockwave spread out. The surrounding trees, grass, and rocks were all shattered into fine powder. The place Lin Feng was at was also destroyed, and he retreated. The two women were quite alert, and they had actually discovered Lin Feng. Who dares to spy on us? The two women couldn't help but snort and rush towards Lin Feng. They saw a handsome young man standing at the top of a tree and lightly snorted. Where did this little thief come from? How dare you spy on our battle? Let's see how we'll teach you a lesson today. The two women had been fighting to the death, but now they had teamed up and attacked Lin Feng. One of them was on the left and the other was on the right, and they both sent out a palm towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng helplessly said, I was just passing by and happened to see the two of you fighting. I had no intention of spying on you. Do you think we'll believe you? If you're spying on us, you definitely don't have good intentions. The two women said at the same time as their palms flew towards Zhao Fu. Lin Feng waved his hand, and a powerful wave of magic energy flowed out, dispersing the two women's attacks. The two women lost control of their bodies and fell down. Seeing this, Lin Feng stretched out his hands and grabbed the two women by their waists, and they descended into the forest. You pervert, hurry up and let us go. The two women's faces immediately became red. Chapter 1396. Lin Feng said, I didn't mean to take advantage of the two beauties. I just saw that the two of you were about to fall. If you accidentally fell to the ground, wouldn't you be in a very sorry state? That would be too damaging to your beautiful image. That's why I supported the two of you. Are you supporting the two of us? You're clearly taking advantage of us. Why aren't you moving your hand away? The two women couldn't help but spit at Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled embarrassedly and moved his hand away. The two beauties didn't continue attacking Lin Feng because Lin Feng was too powerful. He had instantly broken through their divine abilities. The two women couldn't believe their eyes. Lin Feng said, I apologize for making the two of you angry. These two small items aren't worth much, so please accept them. After saying that, Lin Feng casually took out two items from his storage ring. The two items were a bracelet and a hairpin. The two women didn't pay too much attention to them, thinking that they were just ordinary items. They accepted them. The fox spirit said, At least you're considerate. Since you're apologizing so sincerely, we'll forgive you. This is a Tao artifact? Suddenly, the female angel cried out in surprise. She held the hairpin with a look of disbelief on her face. At this moment, the female angel wanted to verify her judgment, so she channeled her magic power into the hairpin. Buzz! The hairpin immediately emitted a shocking fluctuation. The fluctuation shook the void. The aura of the great Tao filled the air. The sound of the great Tao resonating could be heard. Heavens, it really is a Tao artifact. What about mine? The vixen was shocked and quickly looked at the bracelet in her hand. She channeled her magic power into the bracelet as well. Buzz! The bracelet was also activated, and the sound of the great Tao resonating could be heard. The two women were in disbelief. Then, they looked extremely happy. They had actually obtained two powerful Tao artifacts. Even now, they still couldn't believe that this was real. Lin Feng wasn't surprised when he saw the two women's expressions. This was a world where materials were extremely scarce. Even the most common iron weapons were extremely expensive, let alone magical treasures. Back then, Mo Xiaoyu only possessed a magic treasure of the lowest grade. Magic artifact, spirit artifact, prized artifact, Tao artifact. Mo Xiaoyu was the eldest senior brother of the inner sect of the Blackstone sect, one of the 5 major sects of the Blackstone city. Yet, he only used the lowest grade magic weapon. It could be seen how precious magic weapons were in this world. As for Tao artifacts, they were even rarer. From the reactions of the two women, Lin Feng knew that he had guessed correctly. Are you really giving it to us? The two women still couldn't believe that Lin Feng would actually give them two Dao tools. They couldn't help but stare at Lin Feng and ask aloud. However, seeing how the two women were holding the two treasures tightly, it was obvious that even if Lin Feng asked them for them, the two women would definitely not return it to Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Of course it's for you. These two Dao artifacts, one is called the Origin Bracelet, and the other is called the Purple Phoenix Hairpin. Both are treasures that can attack and defend. As the saying goes, hairpins and bracelets are best suited for beauties like you. These two treasures are most suitable for beauties like you." "Of course, we won't." The two women couldn't wait to put on the two treasures. "Thank you, young master. We were reckless just now. We hope young master won't blame us." After accepting Lin Feng's treasures, the two women's attitudes immediately changed. Moreover, they looked at Lin Feng with a strange light in their eyes. Their identities were quite extraordinary in the Blackstone City, and they had come into contact with many outstanding disciples of large factions. However, they had never seen someone as rich and imposing as Lin Feng. He had actually given away Dao tools so casually. Even the Blackstone City's city lord couldn't do such a thing. Of course, apart from being rich and imposing, Lin Feng's cultivation had also greatly shocked the two women. In the two women's eyes, Lin Feng was shrouded in a mysterious veil. Lin Feng smiled and said, "How could I bear to blame you two beauties?" The two women's faces turned slightly red. Their current appearance was quite alluring. Lin Feng said, "I am Lin Feng. May I ask how I should address you two beauties?" The fox spirit said, "My surname is Yun, and my name is Die. You can call me Die in the future." The angel said, "My surname is Chun, and my name is Ingsen. You can call me Ingsen in the future." Lin Feng cupped his fists and said, "Originally, you were Miss Die and Miss Ingsen. May I know why the two of you are fighting here?" Yun Die said, "It's like this. There's a vacancy for a lieutenant in the Blackstone City's Black Pinion Guards. Both of us are vice lieutenants, and both of us want to be lieutenants. The higher-ups were hesitant, so we decided to fight it out. Whoever wins will become the lieutenant of the Black Pinion Guards." Lin Feng had heard about the Black Pinion Guards from Mo Xiaoyu and the others' conversations. The Black Pinion Guards were the imperial guards of Blackstone City, and they were the most powerful army in the city. They were abnormally powerful. Even the sects in Blackstone City didn't dare to offend the Black Pinion Guards. The position of lieutenant could normally command 50,000 soldiers, and they had great authority. The fact that these two women were able to compete for the lieutenant position at such a young age meant that the factions behind them were extremely powerful. Otherwise, it would be too difficult for them to become lieutenants of the Black Pinion Guards at such a young age. Lin Feng said, "So it's to compete for the lieutenant position. However, I feel that there are many ways to compete for the lieutenant position, and there's no need to fight and kill." The two women blushed and said, "We've embarrassed ourselves in front of you, sir." After pausing for a moment, the two women asked at the same time, "Sir, you don't look familiar. Is this your first time in Blackstone City?" Lin Feng nodded and replied, "That's right. This is my first time in Blackstone City, so I don't know much about this place. May I know which young miss is willing to be my guide?" "I'm willing. I'm willing," Yun Die and Shen Ingsen said at the same time. Yun Die lightly harumphed and said, "Shen Ingsen, I'll give the lieutenant position to you. You can go and report your work now. I'll accompany the young master to familiarize himself with Blackstone City." Shen Ingsen couldn't help but sneer and say, "I've been very tired recently, and I want to rest. I'm not very interested in the lieutenant position. Haven't you always wanted the lieutenant position? I think you should take the lieutenant position. As for the young master, I'll accompany him." "Shen Ingsen, are you shameless? Did the young master ask you to accompany him?" "Yun Die, I think you're the shameless one. The young master didn't ask you to accompany him either." The two women immediately started arguing. When he saw the two women arguing again, Lin Feng couldn't help but bitterly smile. Chapter 1397. Seeing that the two women were arguing, Lin Feng hurriedly said, "Miss Die, Miss Ingsen, please listen to what I have to say." Yun Die and Shen Ingsen stopped arguing when they heard Lin Feng's words. The two women looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, I'm sure the two of you were good friends in the past, right? There's no need to argue over such a small matter. It's fate that I was able to meet the two of you here. Why don't the two of you take me to see Blackstone City's scenery? The two women also felt that arguing like this was pointless, so they nodded. Lin Feng smiled as he said, "That's more like it. It's much better to get along peacefully than to argue." Yunjie slightly bowed and said, "Sir, let's go to Blackstone City now." "All right. I'll have to trouble the two of you to lead the way." Lin Feng cupped his fists. The three of them flew towards Blackstone City, and it didn't take long for them to arrive. Blackstone City was bustling with people, and it was incredibly lively. Yunjie and Shen Yingxin were obviously the center of attention in Blackstone City. Many people came over to watch and point at Yunjie and Shen Yingxin when they saw them. Yunjie and Shen Yingxin came from extraordinary backgrounds, and their cultivations were extremely powerful despite their young age. Of course, the most important thing was that they were simply too beautiful. It was impossible for them not to attract attention. Soon, the crowd realized that something was off. Yunjie and Shen Yingxin hadn't gotten along over the years. The two of them had always been at loggerheads with each other. If they bumped into each other on the streets, they would be thankful if they didn't fight. How could they be traveling together? What was even more shocking was that the two goddesses were standing on either side of a young man. Damn, who's that brat? He's actually accompanied by two goddesses? That's right. What ability does he have to be able to have two goddesses by his side, one on his right? Countless people started to point and talk amongst themselves. If looks could kill, Lin Feng would have been cut into 1,000 pieces by now. Yunjie asked, "Sir, what do you think of Blackstone City?" Lin Feng replied, "It's very ancient." Shen Yingxin smiled as she said, "Sir's description is two-apartment Blackstone City has a history of 70 million years. Even though it was damaged a few times due to war, it was rebuilt." Lin Feng said, "It's not common to see such an ancient city." Yunjie said, "There are many ruins of many battles in Blackstone City. If you want to see them, Day can take you there. If you're lucky, you'll be able to comprehend some laws. If you're there, you might be able comprehending some laws. You might be able to comprehend some laws there. You'll be, if you." Lin Feng smiled. "Thank you very much, Miss Dai." Yunjie giggled, "Sir, don't be so courteous with me, or I'll be sad." Vixen. Shen Yingxin couldn't help but inwardly curse Yunjie when she saw how coquettish Yunjie was acting in front of Lin Feng. She then said, "It's getting late, and it won't be long before night falls. Sir, you must be very tired. Blackstone City has a courtyard specially prepared for VIPs, so I'll take you there to rest." "Thank you, Miss Yingxin." Lin Feng cupped his fists. There's no need to be so courteous. Let's go to the courtyard now." Shen Yingxin giggled. "Humph, you're full of tricks. You only know how to play petty tricks." Yunjie couldn't help but snort inwardly. The two women looked at each other and saw the provocative look in each other's eyes. Lin Feng pretended not to see the two women secretly arguing with each other. He followed the two women to the courtyard. Something's not right. Why do I feel like the two goddesses are fighting over that brat? I have the same feeling. Who is that brat? How did he manage to gain the favor of the two goddesses? Many people began to discuss the matter spiritedly, trying to guess Lin Feng's identity. Meanwhile, the news that Yunjie and Shen Yingxin had fallen in love with a mysterious man quickly spread throughout Blackstone City as if it had grown wings. Everyone on the streets and alleys were discussing this matter. Many people were extremely shocked when they heard the news. They couldn't believe that it was true. By now, Lin Feng had already followed Yunjie and Shen Yingxin to the courtyard. This place was called Shui Courtyard. It was said that a long time ago, a city lord had built it for his lover. The courtyard was named after his lover. Although countless years had passed since then, the name of the courtyard had been passed down to this day. Lin Feng was arranged to stay in a private courtyard in a 2-story building. There was even a hot spring in the courtyard, so he could soak in it. "Young master, we won't disturb you any longer today. We'll come visit you tomorrow." The two women said, "Take care, young ladies." Lin Feng sent Yunjie and Shen Yingxin out, then closed the courtyard's door. He took off his clothes and jumped into the hot spring to soak in it. Waves of heat swept through his body, making him feel extremely comfortable. Lin Feng took out a few 50,000-year-old spirit fruits and ate them. He also took out a jug of good wine. He drank as he drank. He ate spirit fruits. He soaked in the hot spring. It was extremely comfortable. After soaking in the hot spring, Lin Feng changed into a clean set of clothes and went out. When he came out, it was already late at night. Even at night, Blackstone City was extremely lively. Lin Feng went straight to the bookstore. He needed to have a systematic understanding of this world, so he needed to buy some books. Lin Feng bought a dozen books and began to flip through them. After reading these books, Lin Feng finally had a general understanding of this world. Chapter 1398. Celestial Emperor June. Lin Feng muttered the name and raised his eyebrows slightly. He wondered how powerful the Tianzhou region's ruler was. Would he be able to defeat him after he recovered and used all his means? The relationship between the various cities in the Tianzhou region was not very harmonious. Due to the scarcity of resources in the great exiled world, the various cities had to compete for resources. As the saying went, unruly people came from barren hills and turbulent waters. It was most appropriate to use this term in the great exiled world. The great exiled world was a barren world. In order to compete for limited cultivation resources, many cities would frequently engage in battles. The closer the cities were to each other, the worse the relationship between the cities. Befriend those far away and attack those close by. This was the principle of many ancient cities. After reading these books, apart from gaining some understanding of the great exiled world, Lin Feng also gained some understanding of Blackrock City. There were 3 great clans and 5 great sects in Blackrock City. The 3 great clans were the Chu clan, the Yun clan, and the Shen clan. The clan heads of the 3 great clans were also the deputy city lords of Blackrock City. Each of them wielded great power. Under the 3 great clans were the 5 great sections. Although the 5 great sects were not as powerful as the 3 great clans, they were not to be underestimated. The 5 great sects were the Blackrock clan, the Bloodblade clan, the Fighting God clan, the Skystar clan, and the Mystic sect. Of the 5 great sects, the Blackrock clan was the strongest. The city lord was mysterious. It was said that he was personally appointed by Celestial Emperor June. Yundie and Shenningsin were originally the young ladies of the Yun clan and the Shen clan, but I don't know what their status is in the Shen clan. However, they are young and have extraordinary cultivation. They should be direct descendants, right? Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. Apart from that, Lin Feng also understood the cultivation system of this world. The cultivators in this world started off as Qi refinement. Therefore, the first realm was the Qi refinement realm, the second realm was the foundation realm, the third realm was the golden core realm, the fourth realm was the magic power realm, the fifth realm was the four extremities realm, the sixth realm was the manifestation realm, the seventh realm was the heaven ascension realm, the eighth realm was the void return realm, and then the god realm. Although the division of realms was different from the Tianwu continent, their strength was roughly the same. Because the Tianwu continent was divided into 8 realms: martial warrior, martial master, martial general, and martial king. Yin and yang, creation, life and death, samsara. The only difference was that in the sky martial continent, they first cultivated their physical bodies before cultivating their spiritual powers. As for the exiled world, it had been cultivating qi from the very beginning. In fact, the purpose of cultivating qi was to cultivate qi into magical power in the future. Therefore, this also led to the cultivators of the great exiled world having much stronger magic power than the sky martial continent, but their bodies were much weaker. The evolution of this cultivation system was not without reason. The ferocious beasts of the great exiled world ran rampant, and the ferocious beasts here had abnormally terrifying bodies. In the beginning, the cultivators of the exiled world had indeed cultivated their physical bodies. However, the cultivators soon discovered that no matter how hard they cultivated their physical bodies, they were far from being able to contend against the bodies of ferocious beasts. Many people died tragically in the battle with the ferocious beasts. Therefore, after tens of thousands of years of evolution, the cultivation method of the exiled world had changed from cultivating the fleshly body to cultivating the qi from the very beginning. After cultivating the qi, the body would possess the qi. When the qi in the body was strong enough, it could be released. This way, one would be able to release attacks from afar and not have to fight with the ferocious beasts at close range. If the qi was transformed into magical power, then it would be even more powerful. It would also have the ability to fly and so on. It would be even easier to deal with the ferocious beasts. After understanding the cultivation system of this world, Lin Feng did not have any special opinions about it. Every world had its own rules, and the cultivation method that was most suitable for the rules of this world was the best. Lin Feng sat cross-legged and continued to comprehend the sacred art he was cultivating. The next day, Lin Feng had just finished washing up. Then, he heard curses coming from outside. "Brat who lives inside, get the hell out here." Hearing the curses, Lin Feng could not help but frown and walked outside. When he arrived outside, Lin Feng discovered that there were already over 100 people watching the show. More than 10 cultivators surrounded him outside the courtyard. The ones in the lead were 2 young masters. The one on the left was dressed in purple and was very handsome. The one on the right was dressed in white. He had a slender figure and a jade-like face. One look, and one could tell that he was a disciple of an aristocratic family. When the 2 saw Lin Feng come out, the purple-clothed young master sneered and said, "Are you the brat who was accompanied by Diei and Ingxian?" Lin Feng said indifferently, "Are you the one who was barking outside early in the morning?" Puffed. Many people burst out laughing. Barking meant barking, and it was usually used to describe a dog's bark. That was how the term barking came about. Lin Feng was obviously mocking the purple-clothed young master for being a dog that was barking outside his courtyard early in the morning. "Brat, what did you say?" The purple-clothed young master's face turned ashen. He was the only one who humiliated others. When had he ever been humiliated by others? The purple-clothed young master looked at Lin Feng with a glint in his eyes. Lin Feng flicked his sleeves and said indifferently, "Don't you understand human language? Brat, you're courting death." The purple-clothed young master's eyes turned cold. The white-clothed young master said, "Brother Nalen, please calm down for now. This person's words are vulgar, and it's obvious that he's a lowly person. Let's not lower ourselves to his level, lest we lose our dignity." The purple-clothed young master thought for a moment, then nodded and said with a smile, "That's right. Why bother arguing with a lowly person like him? People like him can only move their mouths." The white-clothed young master looked at Lin Feng condescendingly and said, "Brat, let me ask you something. What's your relationship with Diei and Ingxian?" The purple-clothed young master and the white-clothed young master were definitely Yun Diei and Shen Yingxin's pursuers. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come here early in the morning to cause trouble for him. Lin Feng looked at the white-clothed young master indifferently and said with a smile, "Miss Diei and Miss Ingxian are naturally closer to me." When they heard Lin Feng's reply, the white-clothed young master and the purple-clothed young master's lips twitched violently. Their eyes were burning with anger and deep jealousy. Many of the onlookers were dumbfounded as well. This brat had actually admitted that he had an extremely close relationship with Yun Diei and Shen Yingxin. Yun Diei and Shen Yingxin had actually fallen for the same man? Was that even possible? However, when they thought about how Yun Diei and Shen Yingxin, their sworn enemies, had been by Lin Feng's side the previous day, the more they thought about it, the more they felt that what Lin Feng had said was highly likely to be true. Chapter 1399. In the beginning, Yun Diei and Shen Yingxin were not enemies. They were very good friends. However, as they grew up, many people compared them. Furthermore, they started to gain some power. Most of the time, they were competitors, just like how they were competing for the position of lieutenant of the Black Feather Army. As a result, their relationship worsened. Now, they were like fire and water. Such a bad relationship was able to come together because of a man. Everyone naturally suspected the relationship between Lin Feng, Yun Diei, and Shen Yingxin. Now, Lin Feng had acknowledged the relationship between the 3 of them. Not only were the 2 men unable to accept it, many people could not accept it either. Yun Diei and Shen Yingxin were goddesses in the eyes of many people. Naturally, they did not want their goddesses to be taken. If the 2 goddesses fell in love with the same man, it would be even harder for them to accept it. The man in purple was called Nalan Ci. He was a young master of the Tianqing clan. The man in white was called Chu Zifei. He was a young master of the Chu family, one of the three major families. Nalan Ci was pursuing Yundie, while Chu Zifei was pursuing Shun Yingxin. Thus, when the two of them heard about the scandal between Lin Feng, Yundie, and Shin Yingxin, they came to Lin Feng's place. They were the descendants of the most powerful families in the Black Rock City. Naturally, they were not afraid of Lin Feng, who was an outsider. Even a powerful dragon could not defeat a snake in its own territory. Furthermore, Lin Feng was alone. Furthermore, he was a young man. They were even more fearless. However, Nalan Ci and Chu Zifei did not expect Lin Feng to be so daring. Not only was he not afraid in front of so many people, he even dared to mock and ridicule them. This made Nalan Ci and Chu Zifei extremely angry. Chu Zifei looked at Lin Feng sinisterly and said, "Kid, you can eat whatever you want, but you'd better not speak carelessly. I understand how you feel. I also know that you must be jealous. However, I have no choice. You can't blame me for being too charming." Lin Feng smiled as he spoke. This guy is too shameless. Many onlookers couldn't help but roll their eyes. Of course, everyone knew that Lin Feng was deliberately angering Nalan Ci and Chu Zifei. However, everyone was very puzzled. Lin Feng, a young cultivator from the outside, actually didn't have the slightest bit of fear towards Nalan Ci and Chu Zifei, two aristocratic family disciples. Could it be that this brat had some sort of trump card? Brat, if you leave Black Rock City now, everything will be fine, but if you don't know how to appreciate kindness, who knows what will happen? Nalan Ci said gloomily, "Oh, are you threatening me? If it was in the past and someone threatened me like this, they would already be dead. Do you know why you're still alive? It's because your cultivation is too weak. Killing trash like you would only dirty my hands," Lin Feng said indifferently. After hearing Lin Feng's words, many people were dumbfounded. Then, they smiled bitterly. Originally, everyone thought that Lin Feng didn't fear Nalan Ci and Chu Zifei because he had some sort of trump card. Although they had a conflict of words, it wasn't to the point where it couldn't be resolved. However, Lin Feng's words had completely shed all pretense of cordiality. This was because his words were simply too arrogant. Good. Someone actually dares to be so arrogant in Black Rock City. Nalan Ci's expression was as gloomy as water. He looked at Chu Zifei and said, "Brother Chu, if we don't make a move today, we'll lose all our face." Chu Zifei nodded. There's no need to be polite to someone who doesn't want face. Attack. Teach this brat a lesson. Nalan Ci waved his hand. Yes, immediately, the guards behind them responded and stepped forward, preparing to attack Lin Feng. However, at that moment, Yundie and Shun Yingxin rushed over. The two women angrily said, "What are you doing?" Nalan Ci said, "Die, this brat has repeatedly humiliated us. If we don't teach him a lesson, how will we survive in Black Rock City in the future?" Chu Zifei said, "Yingxin, this is a personal matter between us and this brat. Don't interfere. Hurry up and leave, or we don't mind chasing you away." Yundie and Shen Yingxin said coldly. Seeing Yundie and Shen Yingxin protect Lin Feng like this, Nalan Ci and Chu Zifei were so angry that their faces twisted. Nalan Ci coldly looked at Lin Feng and said, "Brat, do you only know how to hide behind women? Come out if you dare." Chu Zifei taunted, "You coward! If you're a man, you should come out now." "Shut up," Yundie and Shen Yingxin said coldly. The two women wanted to beat Nalan Ci and Chu Zifei to death. Nalan Ci and Chu Zifei had been pursuing them for a long time, and even though the two women hadn't agreed, they were still disciples of Black Rock City's aristocratic families. Even if they couldn't be considered friends, they still had some interactions. The two women knew how powerful Lin Feng was, and if they angered Lin Feng, if Lin Feng really wanted to kill them, who could stop him? That was why Yundie and Shan Yingxin wanted Nalan Ci and Chu Zifei to leave quickly so that they wouldn't get into trouble. However, Nalan Ci and Chu Zifei's hearts were burning with jealousy, so they didn't listen to Yundie and Shan Yingxin. Not only did Nalan Ci and Chu Zifei not shut up, but they also continued to provoke Lin Feng, saying, "Brat, a coward like you still has the face to stand there? If I were you, I wouldn't have the face to stay here. A coward will always be a coward, and trash will always be trash. Lin Feng smiled as he looked at Yundiai and Sheningson and said, Mrs., it seems that your two pursuers aren't going to let this matter rest. Yundiai and Sheningson hurriedly said, Sir, please don't misunderstand. We have nothing to do with them. Seeing that Yundiai and Sheningson were worried that Lin Feng would misunderstand, many people were certain that Yundiai and Sheningson had completely fallen in love with Lin Feng. Otherwise, there would be no need for them to explain themselves. Nalan Ci and Chu Zifei were about to explode from anger. The two of them couldn't take it anymore, and they furiously yelled, Brat, you're not a man if you hide behind women. Come out. The two of them rushed at Lin Feng, wanting to grab Lin Feng. Lin Feng said indifferently, You two really don't know what's good for you. If it wasn't for Diei and Ingsen, would I have let you two pieces of trash dance around in front of me for so long? Kneel. Lin Feng coldly shouted, and a powerful aura flooded out of Lin Feng's body. Nalan Ci and Chu Zifei didn't even have the strength to resist before they were suppressed by that powerful aura. They knelt on the ground, unable to move. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.